The time of prophecy has come, knights.
Hell is coming, brother. If we can't stop Lilith, we'll all be damned.
Hey, hello Diablo community. Welcome to the first ever Diablo 4 Campfire chat.
Now, this is not
First ever.
This is not a live stream.
This is not, well, this is,
even though it's live.
it is live.
It's not a dev stream. It's not a dev stream.
It's not a developer update live stream.
Right.
As you guys know.
Hey, Staffo. Good morning. I'll be here, but I will not be saying anything because I have to go out for a bit. So, BRV. Okay, have fun doing your errands, and maybe we'll catch you when you're done.
No, this is a little bit different than what we had before. We still will have developer update live streams, but Campfire chats, this is kind of a new show for us. We wanted to...
Okay, so title lies. But I didn't know. It wasn't clickbait, I swear. I thought it was a dev stream because like I knew it was called Campfire Chat, but like I just thought Campfire Chat was a dev stream. Like unless like it's a dev stream to me because they're it's a stream. They're devs. Like, I'm just gonna say. But whatever, let's go.
Get an opportunity to get in front of the community and use this as a way of being able to talk with you guys whenever we need to, and in a casual format. We still will have developer update live streams. Our next one is going to be in July, but we are most definitely going to have more of these Campfire chats here in the future. And with those developer update live streams, you will get those big announcements and the big reveals and us going into more detail about big updates that might be coming up in the future. But for Campfire chats, we want to use this format to kind of chat with the community and make sure that you all get an opportunity to actually hear from us and talk to us a little bit more often. We actually have to get a campfire in here. So a flickering light as opposed to a real campfire so we don't burn down everything.
Well, the thing is the camera's pretty forward. Like, well, forward's probably wrong, but the camera's pretty close up, right? So a fire in front of you guys isn't gonna do you any good. You need the fire behind you where we see those statues. That's where it would look kick-ass. You know, have like a tall fire, maybe where that fucking lamp is. You know, there's actually a bare space between the lamp and the statues there. So, like, yeah, that's where I would put it. I would put it behind because as a viewer, and I imagine everyone's like this, but I'm not really looking at their legs and stuff. Like I'm looking behind them if I'm looking at scenery, right? That's why I do it how I do it too, right? Of course, my head is blocking the statues most of the time. But yeah, at some point I've been thinking of maybe rearranging the room again to where you can see the statues a little better. Because unfortunately I can't like zoom in because if I zoom in, I'm zooming me as well, and then I'll just vanish. I'll be so zoomed in, hey, all you'll see is the statues. Yeah, but yeah, the only problem is I want to move my bed again.
Well, I mean, I brought a version of s'mores. Like, I wanted Oreo s'mores. I have the Target brand s'mores flavored cookies. So if we want to really get into the campfire notion. S'mores while talking about the game.
To eat
Okay, at first I was like, what the fuck, buddy? Cookies? Like, if you're gonna do s'mores, you know, you grab the stick, you put the marshmallow on it, you get a fire, you know? But I guess if you don't have a fire, then what's the point? Okay, fine. I'll let it pass this once.
camera.
You don't get a body like this without eating cookies, Tiffany. Like, come on.
Rod also has explained to us 3 or 4 different times about his unsuccessful attempts at buying s'mores.
I had a lot of desire to acquire Oreo s'mores last night.
It's been a morning.
S'moreos.
S'moreos.
I'm sorry, I'm saying it
S'moreos.
incorrectly. I wanted s'moreos last night and I failed, but I will drown my pain with
See if he can open
Target
it.
brand s'mores cookies.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, while Rod is doing that, we do want to talk about launch and how that went. Obviously, D4 is now out in the wild. We had
gave up on
really great
opening
launch. I mean, like it's it's been a couple weeks since launch itself, and also like huge shout out to the team here, the live ops team, Tiffany here. By the way, I haven't done
You didn't even
intros.
introduce
I
people.
didn't even
You're a
introduce
terrible
people.
host.
Right? She's like the new
You
one.
didn't even introduce people.
Awful. All right, let me do that first before we
Did
actually.
you just make Joe Shelley facepalm?
It's the s'mores thing and the really bad joke.
Okay, so now, I would say now we know it isn't a dev stream, but the thing is the dev streams are live, so if you were to fuck up, yeah. Like, I think this was live too, but this is more a live we don't care campfire chat versus the dev streams that are like live must follow the script at all fucking times, stream, right? But clearly we could tell.
It's just
Can I
throwing me
crinkle the
off.
plastic while you do?
Right next to your mic.
Exactly.
Right next to
And- yeah, as you like bite into
Second
the
attempt at
plastic,
opening the
off and so
cookies?
forth.
Just introduce
Well,
the people.
All right. Well, we have Joe Shelley here, who's the
He
game
got him.
director, for Diablo 4. We have Tiffany Watt here, who's our associate production director for Diablo 4, and then of course Rod Ferguson.
The notion
S'moreo
that,
connoisseur.
yeah, but I mean, beyond just associate production, like Tiffany's, what is it? Your sphere of influence, your remit of control, your the things you're like. But live ops is your thing, right? That's kind of the thing.
Yes, it's one of the things I'm very passionate about. I work with a very, very large live ops team that goes beyond just the Diablo 4 team. So definitely congratulations to everybody across Blizzard that's been supporting us. Lots of time spent in the war room. Lots of time with Adam. Adam was
Which is, it's a penalty unto
it's
itself.
penalty.
awful.
Yes, is the worst
Absolutely
part.
awful.
It was really exciting to work with people across the globe. So lots of Zoom chats, but also a physical war room here on campus. And it was just really cool to finally launch this game, work with so many people to bring it to so many players. So congratulations to everybody, and I'm really glad that everybody is playing.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we have sort of in a way a of a great game and a great launch, right? Like the notion of sometimes you can have a really awesome game and the launch can kind of get in the way of it. You don't get to.
Oh shit, that's right. I think this is the first time they've done a stream since the launch. Yeah. I guess I keep forgetting that launch is still recent, I feel like I've been playing D4 for a while. I think it's because these drops are like for a month, right? It's just like I'm used to drops being like a week, like one set of drops and then you're done. Yeah, so I feel like I've been playing for a while, not to mention the early access and then the betas before that. And but realistically, we're only a few weeks into the regular launch right now. Yeah, because week 3 of drops starts tomorrow. So, yeah. But yeah, I wasn't even thinking about that this is, the first one since.
It's that great game the way you want to, and so I think these are 2 great people to represent that 90 rated game, and then the ability to play it since it was launched. So it's awesome, and yeah, thank you so much to everybody who played. We just crossed 350 million hours of play. Again, thank you so much. And part of this conversation, I think, really is about that, like. What happens to a game that gets 350 million hours of play against it? And so, obviously when you're making the game, you can't apply 350 million hours of play time against it to find, maybe this balance isn't quite what we wanted, or this feature isn't working quite the way we want. And so we wanted to take this opportunity to kind of talk about, now that we've seen it out there by the way, it's only been 10 days. And, we talk about the Diablo 4, this launch is really just the beginning of our journey with Diablo 4. You know, this is something we're going to support for years to come. We're working on seasons. We're working on expansions. Notice that was a plural word. And so all that stuff is going into the future. And so the fact that we love the feedback, we're on day 10, and and that's something that we're really this is the kind of stuff we're focused on. I do if I can stay on my soapbox for just 1 second. Can I stay on my soapbox?
Yes.
I do want to I think one of the conversations we can have is around the expectation around changes, because I find in a live service like this, in Tiffany's world, the notion of a hot fix, which is, how would you describe to somebody who maybe doesn't understand, whenever Adam's we're doing another hot fix, what is a hot fix from a player's perspective?
So there's a lot of issues that we are able to hot fix on the server, whether it's server code or server data. And those are ones that generally we can turn around a little bit quicker. Obviously, we want to make sure that the fix is solid, doesn't break anything else in the game, that our QA team has an opportunity to run through it and ensure that if we roll it out, when we roll it out to the servers, to all of our players, that it actually improves the game and fixes the issue that we've come across. We also have the opportunity to do client fixes. Those ones are it requires an update to the actual player.
Hey, sister. Welcome in. I didn't see you for a bit, so I'm Father's Day. Fuck you, Father's Day, stealing system from me. But yay, you're here. And happy Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to any dad lurkers maybe in the stream or watching the VOD later.
There's client. In both cases, for the most part, they are seamless so that players.
Oh, I did post that video today. You remember we were watching it? Yeah. I don't know if you knew, but my Life with Miss channel, I tend to post some of the React trailer videos that we do on stream. Yeah, so I was going through my stuff last night and I saw that released today, and I'm okay, that's got to be the video. That's got to be today's video if that releases today. Yeah. How is it? I want to watch it too. Yeah. I pretty much never watch anything live anymore because I stream, right? Yeah, so I record everything, Well, if I'm watching it, on TV, I'd probably just stream that one though off the HBO. Or is it on? Because it's on a whatever that channel is. But I think you can get it on HBO. Yeah, AMC, but AMC is on HBO, right? On the HBO streaming service? I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Although I don't know why I think down that road when I have it downstairs on the actual TV. I could just, rather than subscribing to it, I could just fucking record it from the downstairs TV. Still have to watch the rest of Walking Dead, so I'm not going to get into it yet. Oh, okay, so you're holding it off. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea because, from my understanding, it is about her, kids going missing and all that. So it definitely would help to be a little more caught up. Yeah, it's definitely years because her kid is older, as from what I saw out of the clip, it looks like he's 16 or something, which is a lot of years later. Yeah, because she got pregnant in the Walking Dead series, so yeah. Just wanted to see how it was in the beginning. Yeah. The thing is, you can always watch it, again after, right? Yeah.
can get that change while they're playing the game. When you're logging out, that your Battle.net client will pick up an update, or you'll pick it up on your console. So the next time that you log in and play Diablo 4, you pick up that client update. Hotfixes are seamless. So as you're playing and you're doing server transitions, as you're going through the world, you'll automatically pick up that update. In both cases, should be seamless, and something that we work very, very hard on. Client fixes tend to take a little bit more time to get out to our players. We want to
changing season 1, since we are literally talking about two things that have a season 1, what are we referring to? Walking Dead or Diablo 4? Okay. that could have easily been misconstrued. That's why I asked, because literally that show just started, so it's in season 1. But yeah, for sure, they've they use the time before to see, because the thing with Blizzard is they don't actually test their shit, right? they test it for a bit, but we test it. We are the testers. Running joke, especially in WoW, has always been that every expansion is always in beta. Never exits beta, because we are always testing the shit. That's been a running joke for fucking years. That nothing ever leaves beta. Yeah.
to treat all of our players. I mean, I'm a console player myself. I know that Joe Shelley plays on console, Rod Ferguson plays on console.
And PC.
And PC. Super important that we get these fixes out to our players at the same time so that everyone that plays Diablo 4, regardless of how they're playing, can experience the same game and the same quality of experience.
And I think for the client, what we call the client, so the way you're playing on your actual device, that because we support multiple platforms, we have to often go through certification. And so that's one of the things around pacing that we have to oftentimes pre-plan out what we're fixing. And so hot fixes are stuff we can kind of do on the fly. It doesn't require a certification pass. Again, it's meant to be seamless. So occasionally we'll have some hiccups as we, but it's sort of philosophically, it's something that we decided as a team that rather than bringing the whole game down for an hour to roll out a server change, we would do sort of these little rolling changes. And 9 times out of 10, no issues. Occasionally.
Okay, this has nothing to do with what they're talking about, but you were talking about how seasons are changing and stuff. I did see something a while back. I was looking at some of the stats and all that, and it was actually showing that most people who are playing haven't even completed the campaign. So I think they're gonna push the season 1 further. Yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if it actually launched when they originally wanted it to launch, because so many people are not remotely close to max level, Yeah. I guess it all depends on how long the last half takes, because I'm one of those people. I'm basically halfway in level. And I feel like, aside from this past week, because I haven't logged into anything all week. We're gonna get back to Diablo tomorrow though, so game streams will be back tomorrow. But aside from this week, I feel like I was playing a lot, and I'm still halfway, even if I'd been playing all this past week, we probably would just be an extra 10 levels or so, it's a slower grind as you get, higher up in level, it's not like you level as fast. So, yeah. And that too, if you're playing all the characters. Only reason I have been is to theme it around the drops, because, I play the game how I want, but I also sometimes do it for content, and we're doing it for content right now. So next week is the Druid week, so I'll be back to my main, Yeah, so it'll, I'll just be playing my normal character. But then after that, it'll be Barb week, and I'll make a Barb and then play that one. But then once the drops are done and there's no more drops rolling through, then I'll be back on the Druid focusing the rest. Yeah. So right now I'm just like, I'm theming it to what the drops are that week, just to have that extra hype for drops, right?
This we have been working on a pretty large client patch.
Chonky patch.
It's very chonky. Chonky is the perfect way of describing it. That addresses a lot of things, and this right here is actually it's 13 pages, but it's not even done yet. But it is just an early preview of kind of what we're putting together. I have it here. We probably won't go into detail of it all, but we will have it posted, obviously, when the patch does actually hit. But we do have a lot of different topics we did want to talk about.
But which are this.
Yes.
Like this is, we're talking about stuff that actually reacting to what's going on, as opposed to things we already knew we wanted to fix.
And the other thing I wanted to at least let other people know is we were in this initial launch window, so hotfixes were coming super quick, at a rapid pace. Because we're trying to, when you have this many players hitting the game, a lot of things kind of crop up, and we were wanting to kind of get those hotfixes out. Same with the small client patches. I know a lot of people are going but it said further bug fixes and stability. A lot of that stuff is on the back end to make sure things keep up with players, and we keep stability on the actual servers as players are playing over the weekend, and we have a lot of traffic and things like that. So
yeah, I think that's a good point. When we say something like further bug fixes and stability, that's not include. It's not like that bug fix includes a change to Whirlwind or something.
Yeah,
it's some bug with a name that is comprehensible to our engineers got fixed, right? And so it ends up not being very useful to go into a lot of detail about those. But anytime there's something that's oh, we changed the barbarian, that we call that out.
Yeah, if there's player-facing stuff, we'll most definitely end up calling that out. So
do they have an automatic fountain going off or something? It sounds like traffic, but they're inside.
The fact that we've gotten from the community, we've heard a lot of different topics within the community itself. People just chatting with us or hitting us up on social media.
I think it's one of the interesting aspects is that,
again, nothing to do with what they're talking about, but this time it is D4 related. But if I were to put a list of things that I hope they put in D4, number one, and this might actually be the only one because it's the only one I ever think about, but number one, I want to be able to port to a friend from their player nameplate. I need that. I need that. I hate that you cannot right-click on the player and just port. The way you got to do it is their flag when you're grouped, their flag is there for you to port to them, but you got to go to the major city and then you see the flag, you port, and then but you always have to go to the major city. You always have to port there first and then port to your friend. And it's just so stupid. What if there was one situation where I did it. Arsenal and I, we were in a dungeon. He had kind of gone a little ahead of me, and I attracted a goblin, which attracted the butcher, right? And so I don't give in to the butcher. He works to kill me, right? So I was trying to actually kill the butcher, and because this was a low level, lack of gear, it was a while ago, and so he killed me. He actually, I think I remember in the clip, because I actually recorded it. It was going to be a video, might still be, but I think he killed Arsenal first. Arsenal came back, and then he got me, and then when I came back, I ported to the main city, and then I hit his flag to get back to him. And it would have been so much easier just to, like, I was in the dungeon, you know, like that's where you'll come back to. It would have been just so much easier just to right click his name and but no, I had to fucking go to the city, to the flag, and then back in, you know, like, yeah, it's just, I don't like the way, I don't like that way, you know? Yeah. I just don't understand why they wouldn't have it off the character when the past game had it, you know? Like, you're supposed to improve onto the past game, right? Not get rid of some of the quality of life crap. So yeah, that's one major thing I want. The other is, well, the druid. I love my druid, but the druid is, like, the way the druid works is the druid gets good at 70, right? At 70, your druid's like kicking ass, and 70 to 100 is like a nice little breeze with the druid, but 1 to 70 is, I won't say a struggle, but a struggle compared to the other characters. Like, if you were to hop onto another, you're going to do so much more 1 to 70 than you would with the druid. And I just think for other druid players, you know, maybe some new players that come in later, having 1 to 70 be a slow grind, that's just so wrong. You know, I don't understand why they feel the need to make the player suffer in the very beginning. You know, that's the most crucial part of leveling, in the beginning. And, you know, 30 levels in, if the player doesn't like how they're leveling, they're gonna fucking quit. Right? And if their first choice was like a druid, they might think all the characters are like that and not even try. Right? Like, yeah. So I think they need to make that, you know, I don't have any complaints with the rest. I haven't tried Barb yet, so, you know, I can't talk on that one. But Rogue was great for, you know, early leveling. And Necro's great. You know, all the rest are great. And yeah, I just don't understand why Druid has to suffer. Make Druid players want to be Druid players. It's like, I get it. It's going to be forever a meme because of what they did to the Druid before the changes, because it used to be even worse. And yeah, so it'll be forever a meme, but like, you know, yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand that. And then, is there anything else that I would want in D4? Those are like my major things. You know, the druid, I just say that one for like fellow druids, but like before they make that change, my druid's gonna be at 100 and I won't give a fuck, right? You know, like, I'm not leveling another druid, so, you know, once I'm 100, I don't care what they do to the fucking leveling. But, you know, for other people, you know, they may care. You know, I'm used to punishment. I've been playing WoW for 20 years, you know, like
we want a balanced game where there's no meta and every build is viable, and everybody's like, yay! And they're like, we've reduced the power of this class, and we're like, what's going on? Table flipping, like, what we have a philosophy of like, as part of balancing the game, whether that be the world or the classes, there will be pluses and minuses that have to be applied to the game, you know, and the notion of, oh look, you know, I remember Destiny 2 had Loot Cave, and we're like, there's a loot cave, let's just sit here and farm loot, and we're having so much fun. It's Christmas morning all day long, and like that can't persist. Like, for the good of the game, that has to not exist at some point, right? And so that's a problem that they fixed, and you understand eventually why they did that. I think there's some of that when we have 350 million hours playing against the game, and we go across your intentions from a design perspective about how do you want players to be gaining XP and sort of growing their levels, and kind of like what is their path for. It felt like what we started to see was that a player pattern that was non-ideal. Is like a player behavior like that you wanted to sort of, that was being revealed through play, like that amount of play.
Yeah, so that's generally true. The way I would talk about it is that
When you have numerous of games you play, it's hard to juggle through all of them. I bet. Yeah. Like you want to play this one, but also this one because you need to do certain things. But you feel bad that you're playing this one. I never feel bad that I'm playing anything, but I also didn't start playing other games until I felt done in WoW. Yeah. So I think that that's a big difference with me, is that if I didn't feel very accomplished in WoW, we would still be a one game person. Yeah. Yeah. So by the time BFA showed up, I had a pretty huge mount collection. I think I was sitting at I was about to hit the 30K mark for achievements back in BFA. We're over it now, but yeah, pets was over 1,000, which I think is way too much for pets, if you ask me. But I also think the mount collection is pretty high for mounts too. Like, who the fuck needs more than 500 mounts? Like. Yeah, it's like I don't even use any of those fucking mounts. Yeah, maybe 5 of them out of I can't remember what my number's sitting at, but it's like 6 something, almost 700. But yeah. And then transmogs, it's like that's what the real game is, because you can kind of never be caught up in transmogs. Because of all the patches that come in, and then the RNG on transmogs, and then even if you were to catch up, there's all the other classes, right? You could go transmog farm on the male character, and then the plate character, and then the cloth, and but it's like, how much do I love my life? Because that is just boring as shit, and for no reason, like to get every transmog, even the ones you don't think look good, on characters that you don't main. Yeah. So it just, depends how you look at shit. Use a different one every stream until you've used them all. Oh, the mounts? Fuck no. I don't use them because I don't like them, like I collect them for the number, but yeah, like there's a reason we don't use them. If I liked them, I'd use them. Yeah, but nowadays every mount is a reskin of a mount I got years ago.
That our goal is to have a lot of choice for players,
Right.
Both in terms of being able to having lots of good choices for where you're going to level or acquire loot, and also in terms of your character having lots of choices, right? And so, sometimes people will say like, well, can't you, anytime something is too strong, can't you just buff everyone else?
Right.
And while in theory you can do that, when you have many classes and many builds, and you have one thing that is too strong, the process of buffing everything else, A, is likely to result in more balance issues because you're changing many, many things at once. And B, you can very quickly run into a place where you have, 65,000% on Warcraft.
Right.
And it can get sort of crazy.
You're always just chasing that power.
So, yeah, I mean, sometimes we have to make changes. We have to nerf things sometimes.
Sure.
But our philosophy is to prioritize improving choice by looking at things that are not working and making them better. Now, it hasn't felt like that in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
Right. When I came here today, I was thinking about, I don't have a shirt like this, but I thought about like getting a shirt and then writing, it's time for the buffs on it.
We can make you one.
I didn't do that, but it is,
So
it
if
is
we have a
time for the
buff shirt,
buffs.
it has to be Adam.
Yeah. I think we have some things we want to
Yes.
go over here.
We do.
That the community has has called out through various formats, through videos and posts.
Posts on our forums, which we really appreciate. Anyone who posts on our forums, we are completely scouring our forums for feedback and so forth. Posts on social media, on Reddit, conversations that people are having in videos. You know, sometimes we have content creators that are...
I only post to you guys. Yeah, I save all mine for my own streams. Aside from like Twitter, I'll like a couple of things, but you've seen me. I'll quote their tweet and make it my own fucking tweet. I don't even reply in theirs. I just create my own tweet out of it, right? Like, I don't know if I've ever actually replied in any of their shit. Yeah, and forums. Yeah, I used to go on forums, but can't be bothered nowadays.
That are actually creating like videos that are talking about specific topics. So we've kind of compiled a good list of like hot topics that I think that the community has been wanting to hear more about, and we do want to go through those and actually talk about them a little bit more in detail. I think probably the biggest one I think that people have been talking about the most has been around dungeons. As you guys know, like we've had a few hot fixes.
Oh, yes. Number 3. No, we already had a number 3. Number 4. Dungeons are too long. Yes. They are too long on a regular character, and they are brutal on the druid. I'm just gonna say. Like, yeah, we could use shorter dungeons. The guy with the white hair looks like Laura. That's Rod. I like him. He's my favorite out of the Diablo team. Yeah, I like his humor, and he kind of like he almost feels like I don't know, like a friend or a dad, or, you know, like he gives off that vibe. Yeah, I like when he's part of these, and he's part of all of them. So I think they keep him in all these because of his humor. Yeah, because he's a funny looking. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Rod. Just kidding. Just funny looking.
Of hot fixes where we do where we had a line where we did mention that we were reducing like elite pack levels and so forth, or adjusting them specifically in certain dungeon, more elite packs, and of course shorter ones having, you know, less than what a longer one would specifically have. But I would say like we've really gotten to kind of like a new baseline now of like where we are.
It's not like it was a contrast thing, like Joe can speak to, but like I think the expectation was, oh, nightmare dungeons are the end game. That's the place I'm going to go, you know, quote unquote farm. But right now, the normal dungeons, because the elite density is so high, it's better to farm a normal dungeon than it is a nightmare. And so they seemed like they were kind of slightly out of whack from that perspective. I don't know if that's a technical term, slightly out of whack, but.
I've seen it many times.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Is that accurate, or how do you feel?
Yeah, we had some cases where among side dungeons, some side dungeons had dramatically more elites than other side dungeons, and so it really felt like if you're thinking about efficiency, it only made sense to farm those.
Right.
But more broadly, I mean, you were talking about nightmare dungeons. Nightmare dungeons have. First off, actually, you know, the significant majority of our players haven't finished the campaign yet. Many of the people who are watching this stream, in fact, and our dedicated players play through content much more quickly,
right?
And have been experiencing this situation with the dungeons, right?
I think I would have the campaign done because I usually am that person, but there's been so much side quests, so it's not like I'm putzing around. I probably have more side quests done than most people. You know, and that's why I'm on Act 5 right now, and we started Act 5 like over a week ago, and I haven't we technically haven't done anything in Act 5. Like, I just got to it, and that was over a week ago. Yeah, and that's because I do every quest, right? I'm a lore master. so yeah. That I think it's bad to say, you know, people haven't finished the campaign. I think it's better to compare level, because there is a way more side quests than there is campaign, and some of those side quests do give you story. So yeah, so if you're after story, do both.
Nightmare dungeons are explicitly set up to be highly replayable, right? Through the sigil affixes, through the variety of nightmare dungeons that are available, to the changes to monsters that occur inside them. And so we want them to be a great place to farm, including if you want to farm dungeons over and over. If you want to loop dungeons, nightmare dungeons are set up to be good at doing that.
That's
right?
the intention.
Yeah. So what we're going to do there is we're going to increase the amount of XP that you get from Nightmare Dungeons. And our goal with this is to make Nightmare Dungeons more efficient to do than side dungeons.
Right.
Because they're designed to be more replayable.
And does that take into account, like, Nightmare Dungeons have essentially a travel time to get to them?
Right. So this is a great point. So in order to, when you think about efficiency, if you think about XP per hour or XP per minute, right. And we actually have telemetry on this so we can see what it looks like. You can't just look at the XP that you're getting from the Nightmare Dungeon, because you have to spend some of the time traveling to that Nightmare Dungeon. And in fact, Nightmare Dungeons are a variety of distances away from the nearest waypoint
right.
or teleport. So it actually varies depending on which Nightmare Dungeon you're going to.
Right.
And so that can also have the effect, if you're thinking about the efficiency aspect of it, of XP per hour or loot per hour,
right.
of sort of making it hard to justify choosing a Nightmare Dungeon that's far from a teleport point.
Sure.
So the second thing that we're going to do here is we're going to modify the way that sigils work so that they teleport you to Nightmare Dungeons on use.
So they teleport you, or do they create a place to have a waypoint to the dungeon?
They will create a waypoint that allows you to teleport. But yes, you'll be able to teleport to. That's an important distinction.
Right.
But the effect is that you'll be able to teleport to your Nightmare Dungeons, and you'll be able to loop from the end of a Nightmare Dungeon into your next Nightmare Dungeon. If you want to loop them
right.
again, you may have to leave the Nightmare Dungeon using an interface, but you'll be able to go from Nightmare Dungeon to Nightmare Dungeon without traveling between them.
Right.
And that allows us to have the XP, calculate the XP buff to make sure that those are the most efficient to do, because we're removing the travel time aspect of it.
Okay, so we're improving the rewards from Nightmare Dungeons to make them more what the intention was. That's the place you farm.
Yeah.
We're removing the need to have a travel time, because a waypoint will appear and you and your party can go there, so it shortens it.
Right.
The waypoint one in particular sounds like a reasonably large change. So from a player perspective, what should expectations be about, hey, that sounds awesome. I think that sounds awesome. So what kind of timing, what range of timing are you thinking?
It is, you know, Tiffany was just talking about like the kinds of things that we can do very quickly and easily.
This isn't supposed to be one of
it's
them.
a little, but this is something that's really important to many of our most dedicated players. And so we're working very hard on this right now, actually, and yesterday as well, to get it in before Season 1 launches.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I know Tiffany and the live ops team I know have been working really tough on are working a lot to make sure that we can get specific updates before Season 1 and scheduling those out and everything. So yeah, the Nightmare Dungeon changes that Joe was just talking about, the goal is to have that out before Season 1 so players can actually experience it and use sigils to really teleport to Nightmare Dungeons and use that as a way of kind of incentivizing. And with Nightmare Dungeons XP being buffed, and it should be a new the way that players end up needing to want to kind of grind or farm specific things. They have the Nightmare Dungeon options.
So, and then for people who are maybe not following along all the time, right now season 1, we're saying mid to late July, saying that this change could happen anytime between, in the next 4 weeks or whatever.
Correct.
So that's what we're focused on.
I was kind of hoping that they would have a date by now, though, because they've been saying mid to late July since before D4 even launched.
There's a bunch of QA we have to do to make sure we don't miss the parties and everything else, right? So we have to. So if people, I use the phrase "don't shake the Jello," which is a notion of like your Jello mold is trying to set, and if you keep poking it, it won't ever stabilize, it won't ever set, and that's kind of the thing we worry about here is that with.
I'm actually hoping that it's more late July, and this is for selfish reasons, but it's because I'm theming the characters around the drops, right? So I am not really dedicating to the druid and only the druid until the drops are done, which means that where I'm sitting right now on the druid, and more specifically where we end on the druid at the end of this week, because it is druid week for the drops, that's going to be kind of frozen in time until, I guess July 2nd, I think, is when everything ends. So, yeah, so I could use that full ass month to, polish off the druid's, rest of the progression. Yeah. So yeah, selfish reasons, but yeah, reasons nonetheless. So I'm really hoping it's, late July. I'd even take August.
With all that, what are we at? Hotfix 9 we've put out so far?
We're actually at 11.
We are at 11.
I missed one. And with also our client patches, like we're constantly sort of poking. And if you do that without proper QA and proper testing to make sure you're not shaking something out of alignment, because I think we've had that where we've maybe rushed a patch and that caused something else to slightly not go the way we want. So that's something we want to be as responsive as possible, but we also want to be as safe as possible and make sure we're not causing other issues.
Yeah, I mean,
shout out to Hotfix 11 for fixing some of the things that we may
have broken the previous one.
the teleport should take you to the dungeon and not under the world.
Major shout out to our QA team because we have.
That reminds me of a WoW dungeon back in the day. Throne of Thunder. Yes. Back in the day, when that was available, they had LFR had been out at that point. And if you went in, because I never saw it happen when I would raid like in, the regular modes. But if you went in LFR, I remember there was one wing of that dungeon where it would put you under the stairs. Yeah. And you were just kind of screwed. Yeah, you'd be under the staircase, an area that you shouldn't even see. Like there's no way to get out of it. There's no way to get to it. And yeah, well, I don't know if you can even solo. Well, yeah, you can solo LFR, but I don't think that happens anymore. That was like a current expansion thing, but the bridge is still broken.
Put out, I think, as you just said, 11 hotfixes, and I want to say 8 or 9 client patches. So definite kudos to them.
Yes.
To it. I'm a Necro player as well, I believe Rod is, so definitely looking through that chonky patch to make sure that my class gets buffed, as Joe said. But I've been collecting renown.
You just promised. Do you realize what you just did?
Yes.
That
This is
you
why I
just
need to
promised necro buffs.
Well,
to
now
people.
Joe has to do it
I
because
know.
I said
Is that
it.
how it works?
Yes, it is how it works.
Okay, great.
I didn't tell him that, but now he knows. I'm looking forward to season 1. I am curious because I think a lot of the community is curious, will I have to recollect all those altars of Lilith? Do I get to carry over those?
They already said no.
That I'm earning. What about my map? don't really want to have to rediscover it. So
I get she's saying that for content, but they answered that question before launch. Like, they said we wouldn't have to. So if this answer is changed, I'm just going to say.
Rod, what's season 1 going to look like for me when I roll a rogue?
When you roll a rogue, well, I mean, one of the cool things you and I both experienced a lot with our necro play is the blighted corpse problem, right?
Yes.
Which is I think
I
Josh
don't know if
calls
it's
them.
one of the cool things.
Well, no, it is a cool thing. I think Josh calls them corpse farts, but like it's not my favorite term. But anyway, but we know that the opaqueness of that effect is sometimes can be an explosion waiting for you underneath there, and you can die.
It is a bug, yes. That is one of the things we are fixing.
I'm just like judoed that question.
Yes, you
back
totally
to
did.
it.
And I actually care a lot about this because I use Blighted Corpse on my Necro. That is included in one of our upcoming patches. It is a bug. I know there was some discussion of like, is this intentional? It's not intentional. We will be fixing it and making it a little bit easier in general to be able to see which of the dangerous effects on the ground, making sure that's always readable to the player. So making sure our sort order is correct. If there's a fire enchanted, which is, it's the affix that always gets me, that I can definitely see it, because right now with all the corpse farts on the ground.
How easy it is to just say.
Now that is canon. It's very difficult for me to see a lot of the affixes or some of the enemy or PvP fire on the ground. So looking forward to those changes. But yes, going back to season 1.
Renown. I think the big thing that we're seeing, one of the big questions, I think, especially new players, if you've played Diablo 3 before, you're familiar with the seasonal kind of reset. That idea of like, oh, it's a new season, there may be new balances.
Yes, I want to know, because I've just sort of assumed that since it's 100 levels in D4, that they've changed their ways on how seasons are going to work, and you roll in with your same characters. But I want to know, do we have to re-level a fucking new character? I can't. I never thought about, I've never mentioned it before, because I just kind of figured, one of two things. Either no, because it's 100 levels and long levels at that, or they would just nerf the leveling for seasons, But I don't know. That's how it worked in D3. You started at a level 1 character, and then your character, at the end of seasons, your character would just get, thrown into the non-seasonal, but you'd keep it, So, you'd keep your character, and all the goods would follow over. And, but I gotta imagine that it's just, I don't know if that's what they're going to cover, but
new changes are in the season or new mechanics, and that's still true in Diablo 4. That idea that there's that sense of progression and going back and trying something new, experiencing the new mechanics in the world from a new place, because otherwise it becomes this huge sort of power creep. But obviously, part of the feedback is people now are starting to complete the campaign, and they're starting to look forward to season 1 coming mid to late July. When we talk about resets, how do I think about the Renown system in particular? And so one of the things, what will happen is that I think we started off in one place and we're kind of ending up in another place, which is kind of interesting. Is we started off from hey, we want as much of that feeling of progression as possible. So rediscovering things isn't that bad, because you're like, oh, I get to do this really cool. But I think we're starting to feel with alt characters that notion of, the fog of war between characters doesn't feel great. And the Lilith altars doesn't necessarily feel great. And so that's something we're going to do. And we'll be continuing to evaluate what should and shouldn't.
I think you do keep your characters, because then why are we even talking about Renown possibly resetting and, people not wanting to collect altars again? Why is that even a discussion if you keep your character, Yeah. So I only question it though, because I've, the only Diablo seasons that I know of, which was D3, obviously. It was a reset every single season, right? But the difference is you could level in like 10 minutes.
Shouldn't be reset as part of that. Much like once you complete the campaign on one character on your account, you can skip campaign for every character from there on through every season. And I think basically, I guess I won't promise expansions, but I believe expansions too. Not to lock stuff in too early. But that notion that you only have to complete, that's kind of the thinking we have. So right now for Renown, what we're talking about is as we go into season 1, when the amount of the fog of war that you've lifted on your map, the amount of the map that you've exposed going into the season in the Eternal Realm will be what you see in the season. So you don't have to go and reveal the map again. The only capital city waypoints, I think, will be active, much like it is now. So, but you'll see them. They'll just be gray. So because there's so much renown you get for claiming one, we still want you to go claim that waypoint. And then there's also the Altars of Lilith, which is basically, those will stay as well. You don't have to rediscover them every season. And that's always been true, the notion around the benefits you get from a Altar of Lilith, like +2 intelligence or +2 dex, those stay with you forever, much like the renowned system of the extra potion charge or the extra obol capacity. Those stay with you too. You don't have to go get those skill points, go get those potion charges. Those go with you. And what's kind of cool is that what we're talking about is we'll preload you that renown. So, right, so if I could get, I'll make up a number, this is totally made up, 1,000 renown through Fog of War clearance, when I start up season 1, my map will be clear like it is in the Eternal Realm, and I'll already have 1,000 renown in my...
Right, your renown screen will still show, fog, there are this many areas of the map to be discovered.
Right.
It will just give you credit for the ones that you already discovered. And that will translate into starting the season if you have been playing previously on a character with some amount of renown.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. And our intention, so those are the base of the two major that you get credit for. We're going to...
Altars and fog.
Altars and fog. So side quests, those are something that's still reset. But we're looking into the future, maybe that's something else we could potentially...
Potentially. I mean, it's something that I think we'll continue to evaluate. Some things are fun to do every season, and some things are, after you do them a few times, you feel like, why do I have to do this again? And I mean, I think that's something that it's pretty clear on exploring the map and the Altars of Lilith.
Yeah.
I think it's less clear on some of those other things.
I know, as one personal preference, I mean, when I skip campaign on a new character, I kind of use the side quest to kind of create my own campaign playthrough. It gives me a little more direction. So I actually, again, one person, but I actually like being able to play through the side stories again.
Yeah. And so, and just to re-clarify on the Altars of Lilith, obviously players who, and how it works right now is if you collect an Altar of Lilith, you get the stat bonuses or whatever bonuses that you have, and those carry over. But now with the additional changes, it will be showcased. The ones that you've actually visited already will now showcase on your map already. So it ends up at least covering off of that, of course. And then, as Rod mentioned, the Fog of War items will be kind of carried over, or not carried over, but removed from as you kind of create new characters. And in terms of timing, I guess for some of these, when were we kind of looking for?
That's season 1, right? So it would be...
Yeah, we're looking to get that for season 1. An interesting point here is that that change will also affect alts after it goes in.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
I was going to say, one of the things I do really like with D4 is that when you get that bonus skill, it always says +1 skill point for all characters on account or whatever. I like that.
I know, I'm slowly getting through my list here.
Your list of 13 pages.
I think one of the things that I'm especially encountering too is in the dungeons, when you're going through and clearing dungeons, probably at least the bottom row of my inventory, it tends to be the gems I've collected along the way. And I know that creates some tension.
I'm the opposite. I put my gems at the top, And keep in mind, I have not bought any additional tabs yet, so I'm still working on like the one default tab. But I have all my gems at the top, and then at the bottom is where I keep like legendaries that I'm indecisive if I want to take the power out of it.
And those sorts of things. So I know they're like the quick answer is always like, I want a gem tab, or like, how do I put a different place to put those? But it sounds like we're doing something and we're thinking about it differently.
Usually I do have a gem tab. I know they're talking about like an actual, D4 gem tab. But like the way I did it in D3, because I played a lot of seasons and I played all the characters every season, and so I needed a lot of shit. So I had, keep in mind that this is like years into that game, so we didn't start with this many tabs, but I had one tab that was dedicated to each class, right? So I'd have a barb tab and a crusader tab and, monk tab and all that. And then I had the gem tab. And then, and people may remember this from my streams, but I had a puzzle ring tab because I loved to just see all the puzzle rings in one tab. And then I had a cow stick tab. So there was all the cow sticks in one tab. Yeah. And let's just say I needed more tabs and we had lots. Yeah. I think there was, how many tabs was there? Like 10 or 11 by the time D3 ended, I think. Yeah. But yeah, I made good use out of every single one of them. I do hope that maybe they do tabs kind of like they did with D3 for D4. And what I mean by that is how I got those tabs was by seasonal challenges. So it's like the tabs were locked to the average person, but if you wanted an extra tab, then you did the seasonal tab, and then eventually it just stopped being a reward because there was no more tabs to like hand out, right? But I liked that aspect. So it would be cool to see them do something similar, because I'm assuming we have a small max of tabs. I haven't bought any yet, so I don't know what the actual max for tabs is right now. But I imagine it's small.
Yeah, we're looking at inventory tension, essentially, like things that fill up your. It's the design. Yeah, it's
Nice.
a design term. Anyway, it's basically stuff that clutters up your inventory.
Sure.
It's all kinds of interesting gameplay, but has the effect of taking up lots of space.
Sure.
Not like gems. I got there.
We got there. For example, random idea, gems.
Like gems. This is why it's a campfire chat.
Right? Isn't it just gems at the moment that, like, I don't know what you get down the road because I'm still leveling, but from what I've noticed in my own gameplay, they learned from D3. They made materials pretty much immediately not be part of a tab. Like it's just in your little thing, right? Your little what do you call it? Yeah, it's in your screen,
Establishing the baseline expectations.
Oh, no, okay.
I think we should just go low.
Yeah, we can
While
only
we're
go
not
so
answering the
low.
question, I still haven't got these cookies open, so I'm making noise
so-
while you're thinking.
When we think about gems,
Still didn't get it.
there are many colors of gems, there are many qualities of gems, and this can have the effect of taking up lots of inventory space. So what we're looking to do, and this is a longer, we've talked about fixes that have different time horizons. This is a longer term one. we're looking to get it in.
He didn't offer one. Well, I guess maybe because he's talking.
The idea is to change the way you acquire gems so that they are show up in your materials or currency tab rather than in inventory.
Oh, like when you collect veiled crystals. So rather than it
Right.
even being a thing that you collect in an inventory, it's now just part of your materials.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I
And
was
then
saying.
the way that will work is you go to the you go to craft your gem in the same way that you did today, and you just use a certain amount of that material. So, it's similar to the
Well, damn, now I want a cookie. Jeez.
actual gem inventory slots that you're using now,
Right.
but as materials, and you can use that to craft the gem. That goes
You know, I never buy cookies. The only I used to, years ago. The only time I eat cookies is when I bake them myself. And the last time I baked cookies was let's see, maybe Christmas. Yeah. Although I do have oatmeal and raisins in the house, and I've been wanting to make some oatmeal raisin cookies lately, so I might do that maybe this week. Yeah, but yeah, I guess like I just don't go down the cookie aisle, and I just I only eat my own products. Yeah. Which I will say, they are damn good. I am such a great baker. But yeah, I'm not really a sweets person, so it's a very, like, the only reason I even eat sweets, like, more than once a year, maybe, is for the cooking channel. Yeah, like... Yeah, if it wasn't for the cooking channel, I would go years without, well, maybe not years. I do like to bake, but baking doesn't always mean sweets, right? Like, I can bake things that aren't sweet. But I think I will do some cookies. Yeah, I've been meaning to, just, it's tough to make time for everything, like with editing videos and streams and, everything else I do. And then, not too long ago, I had to do like a massive amount of yard work there. And it's, and then I've been doing, my workouts, and it's like, where you fit more activities in the day, like... Like, it's a struggle. I need more hours in the fucking day.
Inventory space, but it's also saving you stash space, because right now I'm just like filling up my stash with gems.
Yeah.
But now if it's just materials, I'm saying, well, like something I've been there's been discussion around while we're on materials is that there's this notion of, I didn't understand there was caps. Like I am not as hardcore to have 10,000 veiled crystals, but I know some people out there are, and they're realizing like, you can...
I was one of those people.
There isn't a way to put veiled crystals into the stash or whatever to do with it. Like, what is the thinking around caps? Because sometimes it's like,
it's funny because in the real world, I will toss like a fucking frying pan because it has a little scratch on it, right? But in the gaming world, I'm a fucking hoarder. I hold on to everything, and that I need, like, that's why I love Disney so much, the Disney Dreamlight Valley game that I play, because there's no cap on storage boxes, so I can legit, like, if I was a seriously crazy person with massive amounts of stuff, I could have storage boxes like all over, inside the house, outside, in every area of that fucking game. Like, there is no max to how much storage you can carry. And I wish my Blizzard games had that. Yeah.
to go do an action. We like much like the opals thing now. Like, oh, go roll something because more opals are falling. But I don't think that it doesn't feel like that's the same for Veil Crystal. As an example, Veil Crystal. Like, how do you think about caps and materials?
The caps, the materials aren't. There's no particular reason to cap the Veil Crystals at 10,000. We're just gonna make that bigger.
Yeah. So we're upping the material caps for that, which we've seen a lot of players, especially players that are like level 90 plus. As you're going through dungeons, you're obviously gonna naturally just pick up a lot of gear, and you're gonna salvage a lot of that as well. So you're gonna get to those specific caps that are currently in the game. So I know a lot of those changes are going to be really beneficial to players who put in a decent amount of hours on those characters, or even if they're already at max level at 100 and they're still farming gear or looking for gear on those characters.
And the time horizon on the cap, lifting of the caps?
I think we have that in
that's actually
that's coming before
season one.
Yeah.
So that one we will be changing before season
That's
one.
right. Yeah.
And it'll be incorporated in some and an update.
A future planned update.
Future planned update.
Before
Yeah, you know what update that'll be? It'll come next month when they do the dev stream. Because that's the only time they could do it, right? We already know they're going to do a dev stream next month. We already know that seasons are mid-July to end July, so when else would they fucking do it? Yeah, they're, clearly. Like, duh. Not just kidding. Like, I can't help it if I'm always right,
I know this has actually been an interesting conversation also that I did want to bring up is we've had a lot of people, especially like content creators and others that have kind of been a little confused on how things like resistances actually currently work within the game. I think there's a lot of people that are actually prioritizing other benefits on gear or stats right now over resistances because they're a little confused on how it works, or they feel that it may not be working at all.
I certainly do that with gems. Like I certainly would rather use my emerald for thorns than like whatever the reduction, like plus 14% resistance, whatever. Like I know my instincts are to go to the more tangible thing, the one-to-one. Like, hey, I know exactly how this is affecting my play. Like, is that?
Yeah, the resistance case is one where the system has a lot of different inputs, and there are some of those have multiplicative scaling, and we have sort of some things we want to accomplish with that system too. We want to encourage players to get more resistances as they go up higher in world tiers, which is why there's an effect on your resistances as you go up in world tiers.
Oh, that might be clear to some people. It's like that. So basically, as you move up in world tier, your current level of resistances will get sort of
right,
and so that you have to kind of reacquire that resistance.
Yeah, and what we're seeing right now is that because of the way all of these, there's also an effect where your armor provides physical resistance and also provides half that amount of elemental resistances. And because all of these things are interacting in a complex way, it can be hard for people to figure out exactly how they work.
Right.
But regardless of that, the way that it is working in practice is meaning that resistances are less valuable than we would like them to be.
Sure.
And because it's a fairly complex interaction, this is something that's going to take a little bit more time to sort of dial in the right solution for.
Right, but they're still valuable in the short term. It's not like they're like not worth it at all.
Yeah, what happens is as you get up into higher amounts of resistance and higher world tiers, you're seeing the value drop off more than we intend for it. And so that's where we're going to see some changes.
Right, and so because we need to go slow on that kind of a complex change, what are you thinking from a time horizon on that?
That's going to be something that we see around season 2.
Right.
Yeah.
We're hearing something, and we're talking already about season 2, which again, we're talking about quarterly seasons, so that's going to be in the fall. Like, why wouldn't you get into season 1? I don't understand. Well,
yeah, I haven't eaten yet today, but because you guys know me, I eat once a day. But I did last night after I ended. I was pretty hungry because it was like 3 in the morning or something. Yeah. So I went and I did my chicken. I said I had some chicken thighs that I had in the fridge. So I air fried them. So I threw them in the air fryer with some seasonings, and then I made some mashed potatoes, and I made it was enough for like 2 dinners, right? So I threw the other half in the fridge. So that will be my dinner tonight. Yeah. Usually I'm not a big leftovers person, but I find with some food, it's flavorful enough the next day. Like, yeah, I don't mind mashed potatoes as leftovers, and the way I do the chicken, I don't mind that as leftovers. Yeah. So, yay, don't have to cook today. And then I think tomorrow I'm gonna have, although this might not sound like the best dinner, but I've got a bunch of veggies in the fridge that I have to use up. So I think tomorrow's dinner is gonna be salad. Yeah. Which I know that probably doesn't sound so pleasing to a lot of people, but I gotta use it up before it goes bad. And then I think I'm gonna maybe make some bread this week because I bought some avocados. I don't know. I like guacamole, but aside from that, I don't know if I like avocados like on its own, But I figured, people seem to like to, for the healthiness, they like to do the avocado on toast. I have no bread, so I'm gonna make it. Yeah, I stock up on shit to make bread, so yeah. But so probably try that. And yeah, so I think my week is kind of covered. What else is in the fridge? Yeah, I've got a shit ton of meat in the freezer, but I want to make sure the stuff in the fridge is out of there. You don't like avocados? See, I don't know if I do, but I love guacamole. So I've always imagined that I would like avocados because that's what you use to make guacamole, right? So yeah, but we'll find out. I'll let you know. I can't use them yet. You gotta wait like 2 or 3 days before they kind of, ripen or whatever the word is. So I'll let you know. They should be good to use in, what's today? Sunday? So probably Tuesday? Yeah. Never had one of them? Well, how do you know it's bad if you never had one? Jeez, one of those people, huh? What, you heard the word healthy, right? Yeah. And I've been there. I used to, the only salads I used to eat were Caesar salads. The worst salad to eat. Yeah. No, say what? What is that word? Oh, the guacamole, you mean? But you said avocado's bad. Like that's where my comment came from, as you literally said avocado is bad.
Pretty much finishing up season 1 right now. In order to be able to put it through certification, the way that we do our release candidate testing, like we need to be ahead of the game. And the fact that we're only, let's say it's mid to late July and we're already sort of mid-June, so we're like 4 weeks away. It can take a couple weeks to get through cert and everything else. So you kind of have to be out in front of this stuff. And so that's what I was trying to set in one of the official dev streams of managing expectations. When we find something, we're like, it's not a hotfix worthy thing or something we can't even hotfix because it's not just like changing a variable on a server. It's something that is a complex system that requires real work. It may come a little bit later than you're thinking because of the fact that we have to be so ahead of the game in developing this content for you. So that's why you're hearing stuff like Season 2 means Season 1 is pretty much done. I mean, it's done from a development perspective, and now it's in the QA and certification phase. So that's why we talk about Season 2 as the next sort of window to put stuff out like this.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are going. I'm seeing chat now going like, why not Season 1? Why not Season 1? And it's the perfect explanation for it, because in the end of the day, you have to button something up to get it ready for people to actually play it, and we obviously have to do a lot of testing for it, certification and so forth. So just a reminder for everyone, like, development is a process. It's
An iterative process.
An iterative process for sure.
That's also a good point. When we think about seasons, one of the things that we think is most important is delivering new content.
Right.
Because that is new stuff for everyone. Like, if we want to make sure that every season is delivering new content, and then on top of that, bring in important fixes, bring in some quality of life improvements. And so, I know that I've seen some lists, like people have helpfully made like some lists, like here are a bunch of quality of life fixes that we would like, or that would help me, as a player. So I think what you'll see is that over time, as seasons roll out, you're going to see those. Like we've been talking about with Season 1 and Season 2, you're going to continue to see those things. You're not going to see a season that's like, sorry, we didn't make any content, but here's a bunch of fixes.
Yeah, and
because we think the content is really important.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is like Diablo 4 just launched, and we have a lot of stuff planned for the game.
Yeah, and I've had some comments on Twitter where people are like, well, D3 has this thing and D4 doesn't have this thing, and I'm like, well, D3 has been out there for 10 years, iterating and improving, and like D4 has been out there for 10 days, and so like that.
See, on that topic, I think like, I've had my moments where I'm like comparing, D3 and D4, but I don't think you should. You shouldn't compare D4 to D3. Each one of the Diablo games is like their own, in my opinion anyway. I've played them all, and they got their own thing going on. And I think the best way to walk into D4 is like, honestly, it's great for a new player, because a new player doesn't know what to compare it to, right? Because they haven't played like the others. So it's just us old players need to like get into that mindset of just like seeing what they do, right? Like, yeah. There are definitely some things I would like that come from D3, but yeah, I just don't think it's a great thing to compare the two.
That doesn't mean it's not going to show up. It doesn't mean the iteration and evolution of these.
Plus, I will say, from playing D3 and now playing D4, D3's easy mode. Yeah, this is definitely a bit more of a difficulty compared to D3. Like, yeah, it's just totally a different game.
These things aren't going to continue. Like we're going to keep evolving the game, as fast as we can, and as safely as we can through seasons and hotfixes and patches and expansions. So just because there's something not there today doesn't mean there's no intention to put it there in the future.
Yeah, we definitely evaluate the level of effort and the amount of risk for all of the changes, and that's kind of how we determine, is this hot fixable? Like, is it something that needs to be fixed and addressed on the live environment right now? Is it something that would be better to wait until our next planned release vehicle, whether that's Season 1 or Season 2, throwing out some production terms there. And we want to just, like Joe was saying, it's super important that we deliver quality seasons with tons of great content to our players. So it's also super important that we don't rush something out and break the game where it becomes not playable, not viable, or not so fun anymore. So definitely taking all the feedback. We have a very, very long list of things that we want to get to. And like Rod was saying, I worked on D3 for many years, and we improved it over time. And I'm actually looking forward to the point where we can start putting in a lot of those improvements that people are asking for to get it to a super, super polished game that makes everybody happy. It's pretty close.
I like everything she just said, and they have brought some stuff from D3. Like, we already have materials, like, not in the tabs. So that's like a plus, right? That's something that took a while with D3. Yeah. But the thing that always sucks is they always talk about, it'll take us time to polish it. And by the time you have it all polished up, D5's on the way. It's kind of like D3. This last season, they had all the best shit. Like, there was so much good fucking shit in that little Paragon board they had in that season. And it's like that shit that we should have had for so long of that game, not at the end when it's the final season before D4 releases, right? And I just hope D4 doesn't go down that same path where by the time the community's happy with like all the quality of life shit, the game's over, Yeah.
Agreed. I know one thing that has been kind of a hot topic within the community because a lot of players are playing hardcore, and we have seen some, whether it could be a disconnect or a player might be dying, randomly on their own accord, or maybe they have.
Hold that thought, because I know what you're gonna say next. I think I do anyway. I think I know the route he's going. But on the topic of hardcore, I love hardcore, but I hate that your death isn't in your own hands, and I think that's where he's going with this, because we've seen some of that with T4. And it was the same thing with D3. That's how I kind of knew not to start with a hardcore character, right? But even in D3, it was the own game servers that would fucking kill your character most of the time, Like a DC would happen, and then you'd come back dead, And yeah, and I remember how bad that felt on a character that could only go to what did we go to? 70, I think it was. And yeah, this is a fucking level 100 character that takes a hell of a lot longer than it took from 1 to 70. So yeah. Like I saw one guy die at like 93, and my heart was like breaking for him, and it was not his fault. It was like a fucking DC or something, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like, it's one thing to get that far, and then like if you fuck up, like your own fucking fault, you fucked up. But if it's a DC, oh my god, it's like at that point I would just want to break the fucking monitor, like yeah. Okay, let's see if that's what he's gonna talk about.
Have a service issue or something from their side. I know that there's like a lot of questions related to disconnection, death protection, and so forth. Mm-hmm. I know it's a thing that we've been looking at. We've been looking at everyone's clips, even the painful ones where we're like, oh no, that's awful, and so forth. I know we've been looking at potentially doing some work on that from that end.
Yeah, so there are a few cases here. There are, we've seen some cases where a hardcore hero died during teleport. We've seen potentially...
Oh my god, I would hate to be that person. You fucking teleport dead. Oh god. It's like, I love hardcore, but it's a lot of work to level in D4, you know? So it's like you go through all that and then it's some stupid ass fucking shit that causes your death.
Some bugs with situations where you should be immune, but you might have died. We're investigating both of those cases, and once we have identified the root cause, we'll tackle fixes for that.
It almost reminds me of this one WoW clip. You know, short sidetrack, I promise, guys. But this one WoW clip, because, you know, hardcore's, you know, the WoW's boring right now. All they got is hardcore. So there's this one clip. I can't remember who it was, but it's someone super popular, you know, but I just can't remember who I was watching at the time. And they were in Undercity, and they were just like going into the city, and a ghost came out of nowhere and one-shotted them. A fucking ghost. I remember looking at that clip. I can't remember who the fuck was playing that day, but that clip made me laugh so fucking hard. Fucking killed by a fucking ghost in the game where hardcore's easier, you know, like, wow.
You also mentioned cases where the player disconnects, right? These can be some of the most frustrating situations for a hardcore player because in many cases it is completely outside of your control. It could be an issue with anywhere between you and the server, right?
Yeah.
So those can be especially frustrating. And we have already a mechanism in the game that allows players to escape from boss fights that has very strict controls on it in terms of being a consumable item that's a fairly rare drop, which is called the Scroll of Escape. This is a hardcore only item. It's a consumable scroll. You can use it at any time and teleport to safety. You can bind it to your mouse wheel. It's important to...
Damn, that's crazy that exists. Seems so easy mode.
I do recommend binding it so that you don't run into an issue where you might potentially use like an emote.
Instead of you go out with style. I mean, like, you know, you're going out emoting.
So we have this...
You're like hugging the boss that's killing you.
Ready to allow players to try out something that's extremely difficult in hardcore, and that allows us to have things in hardcore that are very challenging.
Right.
Because without something like this, as a hardcore hero who's invested, you know, hundreds of hours, why would I go and do something where I might die?
Yeah.
There's certainly lots of risk there, and it's very.
I've heard people say that so much. Like, the reason is simple. It's a challenge. Like, I've heard people say, like, you know, hardcore is a waste of time. You're wasting your time doing it. It's like, maybe for you, but for a person who enjoys hardcore, it's the challenge. It's, you know, the rush of being, you gotta be careful. And, you know, like, if you see the butcher, you are way more terrified than some softcore player will be, you know, like, yeah, it's all the rush, you know, so that's the reason. Yeah,
Exciting,
Right.
but I mean, I could just get a little stronger first,
Sure.
right? So we think that this scroll allows for even more exciting moments.
but speaking of the butcher, those are the little clips I like to try and I hope I see, right? I always want to see like a hardcore player go into a dungeon and accidentally trigger the butcher. Yeah, those are like the ones that I like watching. Yeah. Because chances are they're dead. But once in a while, maybe they'll fool you, and then, you know, maybe they're well geared and they can get the butcher done. Yeah. Yeah, I would say unless, well, if you were really big into hardcore, you'd already be playing it, right? So you would be more casual hardcore. Get your first, regular character situated first, because you're probably gonna die. Like, just being serious, like if you don't usually do hardcore, you're gonna die. Like I laugh at so many of the WoW hardcore players, because I find most of the people that do WoW hardcore are like new players of WoW. So they haven't even really played the game. They don't know their character. They don't know the random shit that can appear out of nowhere, aka the ghost in Undercity that I knew existed for years. It's like, if that was me, I would have known to not go to that specific corner. Yeah. But a new player is not gonna fucking know that, right? Yeah. So I would say, play D4, do it on your regular character, find out where the bug areas are, and then, make your hardcore. Maybe they'll fix some bugs by then. But the biggest thing is know where the shit that can kill you is. Yeah. Cause it's I'm pretty good at hardcore, so I haven't had one of those like real sad moments, cause I do my damn best to make sure I don't die. But I'm just gonna say, in D4, it's a lot of levels and it's slower leveling. So, like, if you died at 90, I can't even imagine how you would feel, system. Like, it wouldn't be a good feel. So always best to be prepared. And whatever these things they're talking about right now, these little potions or whatever, definitely get your hands on that shit. That's what I would do. Like, eventually I will do a hardcore as well. But it's gonna be way down the road. I wanna have all my classes leveled on softcore first. But when I do, I will be getting my hands on those items they're talking about. There's some tricks to hardcore. Like, from my personal experience from doing hardcore in a few different games. One, never play if the weather is bad. If it is storming outside, even if your internet never goes down during a storm, don't play it that day. Just play something else. And two, I don't feel like this is really a bad move, but like, try not to always go after a mob that's like way higher than you, right? Like, keep it even, And what's another one? I don't know if you can do this on D4, but on D3, my biggest thing that I always did is I would create my hardcore character, and then immediately I would create another one. And so, because basically how it would work in D3 anyway is, if you died, all your stuff went with you, right? Because you're the only hardcore on the server. But if there was a second, then that second was holding onto your shit, and it was a shared tab, so you could throw your hardcore stuff in there, and then you'd have like a little beginner gear for when or if you died. You'd still lose all your good shit that's on you, but yeah. I don't know if you can do that in D4 though, but I imagine you can. The tabs are shared, so like, yeah, I imagine.
And this is the place where, because it has these controls in terms of being consumable and being a rare drop,
Right.
This is the place where we want to add disconnect protection. So basically, the way that this will work is, if you get disconnected, and this is essentially for any reason. And
So like, even if your cat pulls the Wi-Fi right out of the wall?
Now, I want to clarify that
Because the dog would never do
it's
that.
not...
That's true. Only cats.
The disconnect case is
I like that he uses that. My cat cannot pull anything out of the wall. But let's just say, and ahead of time, I'm going to say if you make a computer, don't make it like this. But my tower, without me realizing when I initially got it, I didn't realize that the power was on the top rather than like the top, like instead of the forward, you know, like, yeah, I like it when it's the forward, but on the top, yeah, cat jumps up, fucking power, boom, gone, right? So let's just say the tower's hidden. Yeah, I've got it protected from the cats because Mystic did it one day. Stream went down. No, actually, I think it was Isis. Yeah, Isis did it. And stream went down, and I was like, fuck. Yeah, and that's when it dawned on me that it was in an area where the cat could actually knock off the thing, right? Yeah, so I have it under a table now. And yeah, but it never dawned on me because all my other computers, it was in the normal spot, right? So I just never even thought about it. I've never had it in the wrong area before. And you only know this if you're a cat owner. Like if you're not a cat owner, that area means nothing. It's, but yeah, you should never put that on the top. Just saying, computer builders.
It's a very complex situation in terms of determining what's happening.
Sure.
So this is not perfect situation.
Okay. Lightning strike on the telephone pole may not trigger
100%. But what should happen is that when we detect that you've disconnected, if you have one of these scrolls of escape in your inventory, it will trigger, even though you weren't there to trigger it. It will consume the scroll, so you can't just do this as much as you want. Right. And it will teleport you to safety.
Right.
So
I like they said that because I was gonna say if they do like I'm all for a hardcore protection because it does suck if like it's out of your control. But the thing is, and especially with Blizzard games, people exploit shit, and yeah, so there needs to also be a way they can't overuse it. See, like me personally, I'd almost do like, what's the chances you're gonna DC twice in one sitting? Like, I guess the chance is there. It's kind of like the person that's like, I won't get struck by lightning twice, and then boom, struck by lightning twice, but the chance is pretty fucking low, right? So I would say that you don't allow it to be done more than once in a sitting, right? Yeah. But then I guess that could still be exploited. But the way he's saying it, using the item, I guess that's a good way. And then you just make sure you always have that item for the, in case moment. But I don't know. I see something going wrong with this no matter what. Yeah, it sucks that you can die that way, but it's also so easy to cheat without it, Like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it works.
So when you log back in after the lightning has subsided, you should be in town.
Just have scrolls because they are a limited resource. Like obviously, like
part of it, you have to stop abuse, right? You don't want people like using disconnects
Yeah.
as ways to do things. It's the same thing. I think when we were talking about the sigil change, is that one of the concerns, if we didn't put the right rules around it, is that if a sigil automatically teleported me somewhere, I could use that to escape hard content. You know? And so we always have to. That's part of it. It's not everything is intuitively like, oh, I instantly get it, go do that. You have to go like, wait, there's a bunch of edge cases and things that this can be abused, and we have to manage that too. So, okay, that sounds good. So I'm Mr. What's the time window on that, Joe? That's my role now on this. Our chat is Rod. Like, when are you getting that done?
The next update.
That is also a season 2 time frame for the disconnect.
Oh, season 2, shit.
Some of the bugs that I mentioned earlier in terms of cases where immunity, there could be a problem with immunity, or teleport deaths during loading.
That probably has a lot of people bummed out. I bet that a lot of people were hoping that that would be like a season 1 change. Yeah, so then, because, basically what they're saying is hardcore characters are fucked for the first season, like that's what I'm getting out of this. It's kind of like, don't play hardcore until season 2.
Loading screen or something. Those are things that we're investigating right now.
It could be hotfix, but
it could be sooner than that.
Yeah, those could be sooner, and then the scroll of escape with disconnection protection would end up being season 2. So,
Okay.
cool. All right, I know I got a few more. Sorry, I know I wanted to make sure we hit on all these topics. This is obviously
Yeah, how dare you with the questions, jeez.
and so forth. But
Why are my caches higher level than me?
yes, that is a very popular one. Why are my caches higher level than me? I can't open
I
my
can't even
cache.
open the
I
cache.
killed
I
the
wanna know
world
what's in the
boss,
cache.
but I can't open the cache.
Speaking of that, my question is, why is the gear I'm getting 10 levels lower than me? I'm just saying, that's like, I'm bummed every time I loot anything, because every single time it's so much lower. It's like, geez. It's like, how am I supposed to get excited about looting new gear when it's all shit?
This is a bug. So before season 1, in an upcoming
A
fix.
planned patch.
Yes, that's right.
In the plan patch?
Plan patch.
You will be able to
in the
open
13 pager? Is that what we're doing?
in a planned patch. you will be able to open caches from world bosses. Now, the gear that's in those caches may still be higher level,
At least
but
you can
there's
sell it or-
and there's a variety of things you can salvage.
Right.
Some of the stuff in the caches isn't gear. You'll be able to use that immediately.
But at least you can open it and see what's inside.
Yeah.
And it gives you something to work toward. You're like, oh, this thing that's amazing is 3 levels higher than me. I'm
Yeah.
going to go get up to that level and use that gear, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I know. So scaling is a huge topic. I'm just diving right in.
Is that where you're going? What are we doing?
Well, scaling is a big topic. I think players have talked a lot about, like, hey, the world scaling with
Right.
you and the sense of power that you have. I think one thing that we actually talked about earlier, I think addresses some of the scaling questions we have, which was like nightmare dungeons are that way of also feeling more powerful as you're kind of progressing through them, because you can obviously go into higher level nightmare dungeons, and you'll be able to slowly but surely, get your way through higher and higher level versions of that. The other thing, though, I think, and I've seen this a lot personally myself, where people have been going like, hey, I might be like a level 25 druid, but level 18 gear is dropping.
Yes. Yes.
There's a lot of like attachment to item level, or to the actual level
Finally.
required.
Focus on the wrong number?
Yeah, as opposed to the item power, and I think it's a topic I wanted to bring up just because item power is actually really the number that people should be really focusing on, as opposed to specifically item level, because there are points where you will actually potentially find a higher item level requirement
With a lower level.
with a lower item power in itself. And that's one thing I think that will help with.
That's fine and dandy, and I'm not going to say that you can't, but you can also loot a piece of shit gear. Just saying, like, that's one way it can go, but it can also go the other way. Just saying, like, at least if it was on par with the level, maybe at least you're, even if it's shitty, maybe it's not as shitty, just putting that out there.
People, when they're focusing on trying to become more powerful, is really going for item power, focusing on that specific number in itself, because I know a lot of people have been discussing it online.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
At the vendor, like the item power is what's getting upgraded.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of
See-
nice sometimes that you can get a slightly higher.
I don't care about other people, so I don't know what other people are pissed about, other than the people that are in my stream. Like, what? How bad did that just sound? The only people I care about are you guys. But it is true. It is true. I don't follow the forums. I don't read the Twitter replies. I'll see a tagline and then I'll make my own thing out of it. But like, yeah, I just like if I'm friends with them, I'll read their shit, I guess. But for the most part, like the average community, yeah. I don't know what people are really complaining about. I just know what I'm complaining about, and that's all that matters. I am all that matters.
The required level for an item does loosely correlate with the power of the item in most cases, but there are many situations where that's not accurate.
Right.
And so it's better to look, as Adam was saying, at the item power item.
I mean, Adam brought up Druid.
Oh, here we go.
Things I know I hear quite a bit about is a thing where you get into uniques and discussions that are, like barb uniques are falling for druids, and so what's the issue there?
Yeah, there are a couple bugs where certain barb uniques can drop for druids that we're fixing, and that's going to come in before. I see where you're going here.
I know. You know what I was going to say. So when's that happening, Joe?
It's going to come in before season 1.
Okay.
In a planned patch.
So within the next 4 weeks.
Okay, did I hear that right? Because, like, I've really only been playing, like, seriously playing the druid. Are you not supposed to loot stuff for other classes? Like, I thought that was a normal thing, but now they're saying, like, druids are looting barb stuff, I guess. Like, see, that's the problem with bugs that you don't know are intentional or not, because you think it's the normal thing. And especially since it was in the last game, right? You could, it always pissed me off when I'd loot like a monk item on a fucking demon hunter, but it happened.
Can I expect to occasionally see uniques or legendaries drop for other classes?
Yeah, you will. That's a really good point. It's these changes are not. You will never ever see anything for another class.
Okay, so it is normal. Okay.
That there are some specific barb uniques that were meant to drop only for barb, but due to a bug are also dropping for druid, and we're correcting those.
Got it. Okay. Awesome.
So,
I know.
in other words, if you hadn't mentioned it, no one would probably think otherwise because you just finished saying other shit can drop. So, like, what's the big deal, right?
We just mentioned this, but
Like, as long as it's not dropping for the druid and, like, as long as it's not a situation where it drops for the druid and doesn't drop for the barb. Oh god, that would be hilarious.
in a future update, don't hate me. A future hotfix is what we'll say for right now. A future hotfix is when we plan on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's right.
Social features, looking for group, looking like type of features has been a topic. Some people who may not be in like a clan or something like that, or choose not to actually join a clan, or maybe some of their friends are.
I wonder if he's about to talk about, I don't know if you guys have had this issue, and usually only, super popular streamers have this issue, but I had this issue a couple of times when I was logged in, where you would be just kind of hanging out in the city, and people just be inviting you nonstop to shit, just out of nowhere. You have no idea who they are. They're not on your friend list, and they're just constantly inviting you to this fucking group. And like, yeah, I got so pissed off one night, I just fucking logged. I don't know if you guys have encountered that, but yeah, that might be what he's talking about next. So hopefully there's a change to that so I can, like, I don't know if you can block that shit, but I hate to block it because, like, what if a guildsmate wants to, or a clan member wants to invite you to something, Has to be restricted to, like, a nobody.
Their normal friends are usually logged off during a specific time. Trying to find other people to maybe like join in with you during dungeons and stuff like that can be a little bit of a challenge. We've been hearing a lot of feedback on that. I know that the team obviously is looking into future social features for the game itself. We just need more iteration time, more time to actually think about how we want that to actually be available, how accessible it should be, and so forth for players to be able to jump into some dungeons with maybe randos or something like that if they want to, if they're looking for it. It's a topic that
I have not had that problem.
Into it, in terms of items.
He's like the total opposite of what I just said.
Make the right choices and take the time to do it right. And it did feel like as a social features, it felt like it's one of those great places to evolve and iterate into. So I think that's a large bucket of features that I could see as we continue to improve quality of life over all the seasons. I could see like social features are just going to get better and better and better over time.
Yeah. And the other big thing that I know that some PC players have experienced have been a little bit of some like performance and like stability items. It's a team that we have like this graphics engineering team that has been like hardcore like slamming into the problem itself and trying to figure out exactly all the different cases and all the different scenarios. We actually do have some fixes and some items that we're addressing here and some upcoming client patches that will be hitting players, so it should help out with
That'll be nice because, like, both Arsenal and keep in mind, we both have, like, good computers. We had to drop our shit down to, well, I think Arsenal said he dropped his all the way down to low. I dropped mine down to medium. Yeah. My hope is that it was, it's just for this beginning launch and then I can go back, But yeah, you have to, especially if you want to do some teleporting into the cities, like that's where the mega lag seems to be, is like teleporting into a city. Yeah.
A lot of those specific scenarios or those instances that players are actually running into. And again, if you guys actually have any of those issues on your end, feel free to post those in our forums. We scour those, all throughout the day. It's customer service, it's QA, it's community, and we're actually providing all this information over to those teams. Giving as much information as possible is huge, as opposed to like, hey, my computer's not performing very well while I'm playing Diablo 4. If you can give us, extra information, computer specs, etc., where it may
just drop it,
and details and so forth.
Ever since I dropped it, it's been fine. Like clearly, and this is why I say, like, we have good computers, so clearly something's going on their end as far as like the high massive settings. I've heard of people who like have just gone like brand spanking new computers having to drop their performance down.
Really helpful.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, sometimes there's expectations around how much memory do I actually need, how much VRAM do I actually need, and sometimes, like, actually, because of the way we do seamless server transitions, sometimes if there's if we're doing some maintenance or there's something going on, you could see what you call rubber banding could actually be.
That does remind me. I'd have to go on my Twitter, but I remember I had posted something right before launch. And it was something that was included in your installation, having to do with 4K. And if, like, basically, if you're not on like a 4K monitor or whatever, and you don't give a shit about that, like that, I think that was impacting some of the performance. And yeah, removing that, I believe, helped a lot of people. I don't remember disabling it when I did it, but then I did also just drop everything to medium. So, like, yeah.
Just be a networking handoff between servers. So there is no one blanket. I think there's a lot of we run on very low end, which like being able to go all the way down to Gen 8 to going to very high, and each one of them have their own different sets of requirements. And we know that by setting your settings correctly can help you a lot too, like playing with like what is this texture. But we feel really good about where we are, but we do know that there are some issues with specific cases, and the more information we get about them, the more likely we are to be able to address them.
Yep, most definitely. I know, so yeah, there's a ton of different bug fixes and so forth that are still coming down the line, and we plan on addressing all of those. Again, continue using our forums to actually give us that info. I know we do want to take some questions from chat and so forth from Twitch chat. I will do my best to actually announce names. I will announce the names so people know that they can go back into chat and see the names and not go like, oh my gosh,
You made up those
made up
names.
these names,
Real names.
And I will note that was not our interview. So that like we did not come up with that question.
Pretty good.
But yeah, I do want to take some questions from chat itself.
Joe, you
As we're kind of like,
I
I had one. I was actually kind of disappointed.
well,
I was really hoping he'd offer Joe one because like.
So you're saying you wouldn't want another
Because
one?
he skipped him the last time. I was starting to feel bad for the guy.
It's fantastic. I know I'm okay.
He needs to read the questions.
Yes, I do need to read.
I do want to rewind that part. Did he really just diss the cookie? Let's see.
Disappointed.
Well, you have high expectations.
No, he eats Outback.
So you're saying you wouldn't want another one?
Outback is so good. Tiff and I have this thing about Outback Steakhouse. It's fantastic.
Outback is good.
He needs to read the questions.
Yes.
Was he kidding, or did he really not like the cookie?
Going through at least some of the questions and continue asking questions as they're coming in. We actually have the community team is actually going through. Huge shout out.
I think he was serious because he would have taken the cookie. Right? No one turns down a fucking cookie. Hey, Mad Fusion. Will we doing more D4 stuff, or this is just the beginning? This is, we're actually almost at the end of this. But yeah, it's they're going over some questions, but I can give you a quick little speed cap. Is that what it's called? Speed cap? I don't know, but we're calling it that. I can give you a little speed cap to catch you up. So they've just been talking about, right now, they just finished talking about performance issues. Me personally, I dropped my stuff down to like medium to help with like lag in the cities and stuff like that. And so they said in a update, which we don't know when, they'll fix some of the, the system requirements and stuff like that. He did say he had one. Yeah, he had one at the beginning, and he was disappointed by the cookie. But I was like, were you? Yeah. But, teach their own, I guess. But yeah, who skips a cookie, good or bad, right? Yeah. Well, it is. I think he said it's like an Oreo s'more, but I don't know. Does it even look like an Oreo s'more? Like, I don't know. but these three like it. Okay, so anyway, they mentioned that hardcore. They said that they are gonna do like some sort of protection against like the DCs causing the death of your hardcore character, and then they're still confirming season 1 for like mid-July and July. And what else? That's like the important stuff. The rest is stuff that's like in the game and staying in the game. So yeah, I would say that's the important shit.
To the community team, they're in the chat and they're actually going through and polling questions so that I can see them because chat is moving very fast. Let's see. In terms of,
Recap. Yes, that's it. What did I call it?
Sorry. This is a party play question, and it's from, oh gosh, I have to pronounce the names. Necrologics says.
Sounds pretty easy.
I'm hoping it sounds.
Why are you
like
sounding it out like a 4-year-old?
Yeah, how's it spelled? Because that sounds super easy to pronounce.
Can we teleport to people without going to town first? Is that going to be an option in the future?
Yes, I hope that they put a teleport on the player bar.
So we're carefully looking at the teleporting. We want it to be easy to meet up with friends. The waypoint in town is our normal way to move to places.
I don't know that everybody knows this, by the way, because I've had to explain it to people. That it's actually, once you know what it is, like I get if you know it, you're saying like, can I optimize it?
I feel like a lot of people don't know either. I just stumbled across it, but yeah, like in case you don't, although he's going to tell you, but I'm more important, so I'll tell you. But in case you don't, you go to the main city, and if you're grouped up, your friends' flags will be in the main city, and then you just use the flag. The thing that I'd like to see them add, though, is that if you're already in a dungeon together, you just port from your player frame. That way you don't have to teleport to the city, go to their flag, and then, it's just like, it's, not that the teleport to the city is much more work, but it is one additional step, and it does take you out of that dungeon, whereas like if you could port from the player plate, you're just going from like maybe the entrance of the dungeon to the middle of the dungeon, right? Yeah, that's what I would like to see. What if friend teleported to town, and if all people in party could use one person's portal? You can, yeah.
But if you don't know about it, like it's really cool that when you join your friend's game, I'm giving Joe time to eat his s'mores. When you join your friend's game,
I'll allow him to explain.
If you go to the capital city or any of the capital cities, they will have a portal to them waiting to the side. So you were like, oh, I want to join your game. Oh, where are you? Oh, I'm somewhere over here. Just hit down in your D-pad. Then you're next to a portal that has their name on it. You click on it, and now, or press A, and then you're with them. And so it's been great at playing with parties where you just go like, hey, just press down your D-pad, jump in the portal, and you're with us. And so I get that it's not like a direct, but it's like it's a layover. It's a you have one stop.
That's what I was saying. It's not direct. I would like it to be direct. Yeah, it is one additional step.
Are you thinking
but
about optimizing so you do more?
I guess it's better than no port.
Something we'll keep an eye on. Okay. We aren't planning to change that right now, but.
Is the portal thing already a thing? Yeah, it's been a thing from the beginning. It's just not very, like I said, I stumbled upon it. Like I grouped up with Arsenal, we went into a dungeon, and I had to leave to sell, and that's how I realized. Because I originally I was just going to use the player plate because I didn't know yet at that point that it didn't exist, right? So I just kind of assumed you could teleport from the player plate. So yeah, for now, it'll be a lot more convenient if they put it on the player plate. But for now, yeah, it has to be the major city though. You can't just go to any random town that has a portal in there. Or like a place for you to port. It has to be that first city you go to, that first town. There might be others later on in your leveling, but I do know for a fact that I have checked out some of the smaller towns, and no, you won't see their flag there. So it does have to be the major one, which I'm surprised they didn't mention that to confirm that it's not in every single place you port.
It's this, as Tiffany was saying earlier, this is a game where we are continuing to support it and provide things for years to come. Sure. And that will mean that the game evolves over that time as well.
Yep. We have a question from Old Greg's Place. See, that's an easy.
That was easy.
There's an underscore after Greg's, though.
You don't have to
but,
pronounce
That's like a
place.
sounds like a
Are
YouTube
you
channel.
guys planning to
Old
buff
Greg's
any kind of
Place.
Resource generation, be it from passive or gear.
My bad, I was talking
I'm gonna
there.
go, like,
Okay,
place.
let's hear it.
Are you guys planning to buff any kind of resource generation, be it from passive or gear?
So we have a variety of buffs coming in a future patch to many things across many
lit up
classes.
the internet now. Thanks for that. I'm just saying you alluded to buffs, but we're not being specific. So now it's going to be a lot of
I mean,
speculation, which is
That's
great.
true. It's in the top secret document.
Yeah, a lot of this.
Okay.
But hey, better than nothing. Yeah. Well, I don't think we would have ever gotten nothing though. That yeah, people would never group up if they couldn't at least teleport to their friends. But I also don't play with anyone, so I will only be taking my portals. Sad laugh. I'm pretty much mainly solo too. But I do like to group up, like it is more experience, and yeah, so I always hope that people want to play. But yeah, I getcha. I'm solo a lot of the time too. But you do stream, so while playing solo, we are still here. True. I'm not completely alone. I'm just alone in game. Which is what we're talking about, right? That we're not talking about I don't got a portal behind me. Although it would be badass.
Builds, including builds that use that have issues with resource generation, should keep an eye out for things that address that. I want to be careful here, though, because resource generation is one of those stats that can very quickly invalidate resource use entirely.
Okay. Yeah.
It's very easy to end up in a situation where you have resource generation that exceeds any possible resource costs. And while that can be fun in certain situations,
right?
It can be fun to have situations where you feel like you're breaking the game. If it's generally true for everyone.
I always wanted a telephone booth portal because I was such a huge fan of Bill and Ted. So I always wanted to go into this phone booth, pay phone booth, and pick up the phone and boom, port. I love that movie.
The game ends up being less interesting because you have fewer interesting choices.
Yeah, there's no trade-offs. Yeah.
There's a lot of people still mentioning mob density and so forth in chat, and I do want to just at least clarify to them because, obviously, we made tweaks and so forth, and we talked about this earlier, but we made tweaks in terms of elite mob.
They should do that. I know I was just kind of joking around, but I'm serious now. They literally have gravestones as cosmetics. We should have portal cosmetics. We could make it a payphone, or we could make it the fucking DeLorean. I would totally make it the DeLorean. You guys know how big of a Back to the Future's fan I am. But you could make it so many different things. Yeah. Or you could just keep the normal portal. They should so fucking do that. There's so many great ideas. Or it could be like the Harry Potter fucking bus, Oh my god, to be honest, I've actually never seen any Bill and Ted movies, even though they were practically on every shelf at Walmart. Oh, you gotta watch them. The new one is, they're too old now, but the first and second one for sure. Have to go out again. If you're not here when I get back, I'll see you next time. Okay. Well, we'll either see you when you get back, or I'll be on tomorrow. We'll actually play, a game. And D4 to be precise. Portal Mog would be sick on my Necro. I would have a lock gate. Yeah, it would be so badass. I always really liked the way the Death Knights in WoW went to their home base, I think that's badass. Yeah. And, I know we're talking D4, but like my Hearthstone that I always use, I have a couple. I'm a big fan of my Valentine's Day one because it's all, pretty and pink and there's hearts and, gotta be girly sometime. But the other one I like to use is the BC port, like the portal, the actual portal. It's a TCG item, but it's like the big ass fucking portal when you hearts. So it'd be cool to have some of that kind of shit. I'm not saying those specific items, but something like it, but more Diablo style. Like you could do, instead of like the BC portal, it could be, like the, sanctuary, right? Or some fucking portal on fire, like so many things you could do. You know what? I should work for this company. I have some great ideas. I'm just kidding. I would never want to work for Blizzard. I think it would be cool, but I like playing their games, and I wouldn't be able to play as much if I had to work for them. Yeah, I value my time as a gamer more than I value my money. Yeah. It would be an interesting experience, but... like I said, I like playing their games, and I don't know, I guess it's hard to say because I do YouTube and I stream, but I was gonna say I try to not mix my hobbies with the career, and I guess calling the kettle black with that one. Yep. Every class should have a gate. Gates are cool. Working for Blizz sounds fun, though. Yeah. Security guard at one of the data centers I go to. He did security at Blizz in Austin and said that customer support sits around playing WoW all day. Yeah, if you except things are different nowadays, but back in the day, yeah, that's pretty much what that title was. Yeah. But you still have to deal with people. Like that's why I don't do customer support, because you gotta deal with people. Like you have to, like, I can't just not answer the call. Yeah, not a job for me. Yeah, I'd be like, well, did you plug the fucker in? That's the kind of customer support agent I'd be. It's like, what color is your hair, ma'am? Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't make a good customer support person.
Packs and dungeons and so forth, but we now have established a baseline, and that from that baseline, like we move up. It's not a this, like we're going to continue going down or something like that. So
Joe and I had this conversation recently. Just like it's a combination, and
Yeah, I know what you mean, because my previous position, I was a knock tech at a data center, and I played WoW. Oh, my bots are covering messages. And Final Fantasy all day when there wasn't any tickets. Then I got home and gamed kind of lost its feeling because you come home to relax. Yeah, see, that's my biggest thing. I think those kind of jobs are all fine and dandy, but I like, but then I say that as a person who literally, lives and breathes YouTube content, like making YouTube content and making streams, so it's like, that's why earlier I'm like calling the kettle black. I made that comment because I do kind of do that, right? I did, turn my hobby into something that I put all my time towards now, right? But me personally, like, I think it's okay. Like, if I don't know, for starters, you got to have a sit down job, right? Like, yeah, you can't really, you're not going to be a construction worker off in the corner fucking playing WoW, like, not comfortably anyway. But I think it's okay if it's like just a little bit, like maybe most days it's super busy and you got this one day that's just dead and you play a bit of a video game. But for it to be like that at your job, like every day, yeah, I don't know about that. Only if you don't play a lot of games. Like, if you're a casual gamer and you don't really game a whole lot, then maybe I guess that would be fine. But if you are a hardcore gamer and you game all the time, I think having a job like that, well, one, it would piss me off because it would take away time that I'm gaming. And yeah. And then it might make you not like some of the games because you're busy, like, well, if you're a bug fixer or something, you're just so sick and tired of even seeing that scenery, Yeah, every day, all day is too much because I'm on all the time. I would say, like, if you're on all the time, you're hardcore, Like, hardcore doesn't mean that, It doesn't have to mean you play 18 hours a day. It's kind of like if you drink every day, are you not an alcoholic? I'm just saying, like, it might be a bad comparison, but it works, right? It's like if you're gaming every day, one, you're a bit of an addict, and two, you're a hardcore gamer, right? Yeah, but I guess then it depends. Like, are we going from 18 hours to like 2 hours a day? I guess like 2 hours a day is kind of nothing, but I would say like 4+ hours. I don't know.
Correct me if I get this wrong, but it's not just about like, as we think about Nightmare Dungeons and rewards, it's not always going to be like, this one monster is now worth 1 million experience points. Right. There may be times where you want that to be 5 monsters that are worth 200,000 experience points. Like, density is a factor of XP per minute, and as well as the actual value of the individual monsters, and so that'll be something that you all are kicking knobs on.
It's something we're continuing to look at. To clarify, the changes to XP that you'll see before Season 1 will increase the XP that you're getting per monster, per elite monster, in Nightmare Dungeons. Right. It won't increase the total number of monsters in Nightmare Dungeons. That also can also called the density. But that is something that, as a result of the changes that we had to establish a baseline, we do have the ability to tune in the future.
Right.
Are you guys planning to continue quarterly update style?
Name? Who's asking?
Oh, sorry. Who Games? Are you planning to continue to the quarterly update style for upcoming expansions and systems or such? I personally love the updates. That's something to look forward to for every quarter since BlizzCon 2019. We will still be having a lot of developer update live streams. And those, like, for instance, our next one will be about Season 1 when you guys
So I'll speak as one person. I kind of like, not necessarily, Campfire chat aside, I kind of like the more active stream to a 9-page blog personally, and so having where we can show cool features and talk about them and interact a little bit more versus go read this novel. Like, I like them. I love what we did. I love the transparency because we couldn't necessarily do streams before. But if I had to choose between an 8-page blog and a...
I think the streams are better too. And that comes from a person who does read. I know there's not many of us out there. I know it's almost like, you know... It's almost like finding some rare artifact. But if I wasn't, well, I always watch this shit on stream, but if I wasn't watching this on stream with you guys, then it would be off on another screen and, you know, I'd be, you know, doing whatever, right? Like playing a game, or, well, I wouldn't be watching anything else because I can't watch two things at the same time. I am always amazed at these people who say they watch like 4 streamers at the same time. It's like, how you even fucking know what's going on, right? But that's what I would do, you know? Yeah. So that's why I prefer it in stream format as well. It doesn't even have to be stream. Like, it can be like a YouTube edited video as well. Just video format, because it's, you know, it's kind of like you guys. You guys are probably watching this while you're playing some game, right? You know, same deal. Plus, they're always editing the fucking, you know, whenever there's a list of, like, have you ever, I see this a lot with WoW, where you'll look at the bug fixes and then it's always edited like all the time, all these different fucking edits. So it's like, yeah, what even is the point? Yeah, just do the stream a little later and then all the edited is just talked about and, you know, good to go.
45-minute stream, I would choose this stream, but that's just me.
And we still will have blogs around like seasons and announcements and so forth. That's still a thing. So expect to see more live streams, of course, and more campfire chats and everything related to that. Will we get the expanded option to change our character's appearance within the game? Oh, God. Guts Claymore asked this question.
He's vetted saying the name first.
We get more options to change our character's appearance within the game. Don't want to make a new character just to change my character's face, hairstyle, etc.
So there are some options for re-customizing your character through the wardrobe. You can't change everything about the character there. That's something that we'll continue to look at ways that we can improve over time. You can also expect to see new options for markings and jewelry and things like that, and obviously armor and things.
Yeah, in the shorter term, there'll probably be more. When you do a character create, there'll be more options. Like as we go through, but
yeah.
The notion of actually, like, once you've rolled your character and you're level 60, right now, because you can't like change, say, your hairstyle, that's probably a later down the road. That's not that. Our biggest thing we want to do is get more hairstyles into character creator before we're actually...
I would like to see more hairstyles because I wanted my hairstyle, which is long, you know, and down. And I can't believe I'm a simple girl. Like, I do nothing with my hair. How is this hairstyle not in the game? Like, this is the most simple hairstyle you can get. And yeah, like, so all my characters have the ponytail because, like, the way I work is it's either this or it's a ponytail because I'm customizing it based on me, and I either wear my hair down or I put a ponytail, you know, or I just like put it up, right? I do not own a curling iron. I do not curl my hair. I do not do anything special. You know, I definitely don't do dreads with my hair. Yeah, so they need at least that. At least that. It's nice to see Diablo finally getting some statues. It's always been WoW. Yeah, so it's nice to see it finally go into that side. You know, the first statue Diablo got was like back in 2019 when they released the Lilith one. Yeah. Which, ironically, a lot of people think the Lilith statue is new. Yeah. But it was released BlizzCon. I remember that. Yeah. Because I remember going to the page and they've increased the prices of the statues. Like Illidan, it's dark, so you probably can't see him, but Illidan behind me, he was cheaper than you see on the site now. After they announced D4 at BlizzCon, they bumped up the prices of all statues. Yeah, so the statues are $150 more now. At least those ones were the ones that were priced at $350. So when they announced the statue for Lilith, she was like the most priciest statue at that time because Lich King wasn't a statue yet. Like Lich King definitely is pricey, but he didn't exist yet. So Lilith was $750, I think, US. I have Illidan, I have Thrall, he's behind me, but it's dark. But he's like right, I can't point. Right, he's right behind me. Like he's the only one you see right now. And then I have a Rag statue. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The rest are figurines, so yeah, because I do have Diablo right in front of me. And hi, I can't stay long early morning. No worries, no worries. Thanks for hopping in. Just have anime figures. Nice. A lot of my WoW and Diablo figurines come from collector boxes that I've gotten over the past years. So, yeah. I do have a lot of WoW stuff, though. Like, statues is just a small portion of my IRL WoW collection. Yeah. I remember I did a video on it, but it was a member-only video. But I did a video on all my WoW stuff. Yeah. But it's more now because that video is like 2 years old, something like that.
Understand.
I understand. Some of us would like to roll a new meme if I had to get my hair cut.
I understand the question, the desire, the goal.
Oh no, and we all agree with the goal. We're just saying in terms of priorities.
Are we going to add a completed side quest tab?
Who's asking?
Who's asking?
Oh, sorry, I'm so bad at this.
At least we all agree on something.
Well, it's like in a different.
You know, I don't know if I would remember to say the names either. But then maybe I address you guys all the time. You know, like I don't do it every little comment you do, but I address you on the first walk-in, right? I always say your name, and yeah, so I think I would be better than he's doing right now. It's like, how is he forgetting? Like, doesn't he see the name first and then the message? Like, man. It's been not too bad. It's kind of like it's almost like an unscripted type, just chill. So yeah, which is good, but like nothing serious is really going on because of it. Yeah, but it's it's answered a few questions. You know, like they're gonna do some fixing to random DC hardcore losses, which I think is a good one, you know, because that pisses off a lot of people. and will eventually just make people not want to do hardcore if they're always losing characters to DCs, right? So, yeah. Oh, you're thinking of the other. Yeah, that's not these guys, Panda, but I do know who you're thinking of. That's a whole different, that's not Blizzard. Yeah. That's a YouTube channel that did an interview with some of the devs, but that's different thing. But it was Diablo related, yeah.
Font color, and you just like immediately move off from it. And it's a really hard name. Burn1N9M4N. There we go. I'm just going to read it out like that because I'm not going to butcher the
You
name.
put the forethought to actually look at those leet spellings in case it actually says something you shouldn't say out loud. Have you thought about
well, if I just say it by number or whatever as opposed to
You're
saying
safe.
that, then I'm okay. Are you going to add a completed side quest tab to the journal?
We want to improve the things that the journal, or that not necessarily the journal specifically, but that can be tracked through the UI over time to allow more situations where maybe you see something in the game and you want to go back and look at it in the future over time. That's future plans.
I mean, the thing too, I think part of what's driving that, which I totally get that makes total sense what they're asking, but you don't need to do all side quests to complete your renown for that area like you can do
That's
through
also
other
true.
things, right?
Yeah.
So though there's a completionist notion of, because we have some surprise side quests that you can't track, and there's no way to know that on the map, and right now there's no way to say, oh, I'm missing that sword falling one, and people could go like, oh, go kill that wolf that drops the sword or whatever, so but if your desire for being a completionist around side quests is for renown, you can actually complete renown without doing all the side quests.
And then this is kind of a similar question, and I think this kind of falls across like quality.
What's the name?
Java Jinx.
Oh, he remembered?
Like search functions in the stash or for specific dungeons. I will tell you, like, again, this is another, like, these are features that will obviously be looked at, and, you know, the game is going to improve over time as we go from season to season. Lots of quality of life items will end up kind of appearing. We'll be evaluating them all as they kind of come in. I'm going to take one last question, which is...
And who's it from?
Who's it from? And this one, I think, is just a clarification from people. This is from Nexian. It says, can you just re-clear something you said earlier so we can keep all skill points, potion charges, max obols, and paragon points from renown for seasons?
Right. That's an important thing to clarify. So the renown, so things like paragon points at the end of the renown bar. You will start with some renown. You're not going to get those paragon points that require finishing the renown bar until you fill the renown bar.
Okay, well, so that's my fault because I misunderstood. So it wasn't that they didn't understand. I misexplained it. So currently, like in the Eternal Realm, if I
Right.
on one character I complete the full renown bar, so I get my obols and I get my paragon points. If I roll an alt, I have the skill points, I have this potion charge, I have the obols, I have the...
I like when he does this because, you know, he already knows the answer. Like, you know, like anyone that thinks that he's actually asking a question here, like, yeah, he already knows the answer, but he portrays the viewer out of these four guys. And I like that he does that. He portrays the viewer. He acts like how he thinks you're sitting here taking in this info, and then asks questions that he thinks you would ask if you were sitting there, you know, like, and yeah, I like that. I like how he's kind of the one that gets the real answer out of them because he, like, you know, he asks the questions after to like clarify the, you know, the real info, you know.
right now, being that are shared between my characters on my account.
Some elements of the Paragon system are shared between characters. Things like the Altars of Lilith also give you stat points.
Right, but I'm just saying that that's how it works today in the Eternal Realm in terms of going between one character to another. The renown unlocks on the bottom level are account wide, yes?
In seasons, you will the things that are at the end of the renown bar, you will still have to acquire renown to get.
Right, that's why I was just trying to clarify what it is today for alts is different than what it will be in season reset. Right, so today with alts, I clear all on my account, I get it across all my characters. So you're saying when we do a season reset, and if you clear it all on a character, or like when you have a map that's revealed in the Eternal Realm, when I go into the season, the map will be clear.
Right.
I'll have the renown for that, but I won't have like potentially the max 80 opals at
Right.
Paragon automatically unlocked because I haven't discovered enough. I haven't gone and hit all those waypoints that would fill that bar.
Right.
Yeah.
But you
And-
will have the renown for revealing the map, and you'll have the renown for collecting the altars of love, to the extent that you have done that.
Right,
Yeah,
and that'll trigger the other things like potion and skill points. And
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah.
And Mr. Joey P, just ping me saying like, yeah, you get the renown from the Fog of
Sorry,
War
who's
clear.
Joey P? Is that one of the community members?
Yeah, Joey P. associate. but yeah,
From our own team.
he mentions you get the renown from Fog of War clear and the Altars of Discovery, which is what Joe had just mentioned. But then enough to get you through the first 2 tiers of renown in each zone. So that's
So that was my fault. I thought it worked the way it works in the Eternal. Now it doesn't. It's basically we're just preloading you a bunch of renown that will then unlock the stuff for you. I get it. Yeah.
Got a pocket Joey P over there.
I know,
Pocket Joey P.
Pocket Joey P. Well, we well over the time estimate that I thought we were going to have, so I
Yeah,
apologize,
really.
everyone.
That's your fault.
We're eating into our lunch.
Facilitating.
But I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. This is our first Campfire Chat. Again,
And then there's me that just doesn't give a shit. like I turned this fucking not even 2-hour Campfire Chat into an almost 4-hour stream. Yeah, I've never really cared though. Like, you either watch it or you don't, and if you don't, cool. If you do, cool. Like, I have never given a shit. Yeah. I have tons of long videos on the YouTube channel, and since 8 years ago, like since the very beginning, I've been doing long videos.
Campfire Chats.
I do some short too, but I keep my short content as the how-to videos, because those people are, literally just going there for an answer, right? And then my streams is the long content, right? Yeah.
Really good opportunity for us to actually talk with the community, address specific topics that players have been talking about, and at the same time...
Yeah, and Mount
just-
Kills too, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, the intention is we want to have more ad hoc, informal. We don't want to have to wait till some big thing or whatever. Like, this is a game we're all playing and want to talk about. So we just want to be able to not have this like, okay, the third Thursday of every month we're doing this. Like, we just want to be able to go like, hey, let's talk about the game and with the community. So we're going to try to do these more often.
I've learned, and I've just learned this from, streams and stuff, that, for the most part, I'm here every day, but I've learned you don't commit. You don't commit, like some, I know from their perspective, it's a business perspective and, but when you got the shit to talk about, then you schedule up a stream, I feel like if they were to schedule the next dev stream like right now, then they're like, if they don't have enough content for it, they're gonna make some shit up to make content, right? Yeah. So yeah, I feel like for them it's important to just do it when you got stuff to talk about, because people watch streamers for random blab and getting off topic and stuff, but I don't think they want to watch like a dev stream, just, randomly talking about things that don't involve Diablo. So, yeah. Yeah. Has D4 been a financial success? 100%. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Let me see if I did a tweet a while back. Let me see. Okay, this is something. So yeah, I don't know if you could see that clearly, but hours played 276 mil. Total monsters killed. Do they have money wise in there? But you don't even need a number. That tells you they're making money. Like, 276 million hours played, and this was just a week 1. This isn't the, we're about to go into week 3, so this is just the first week. I guess I could, show myself here. But yeah. And Sorcerer is the easiest class, so that's why that one's most popular. And look how many level 100 players on week 1. Like 6,200 100 player, like level 100s. 163 level 100 hardcore players. Like that's crazy stats for week 1. Yeah. And then let me see. I do remember. Okay, in week 1, sales made more than 666 million. What a number. They just stopped sales when they hit that number, or what? Kind of ironic. So yeah, it's definitely been profitable. Yeah. To be honest, all Blizzard games usually are. Like Blizzard players, and this might sound like a diss, just remember I am one of them, so it's not a diss. I wouldn't diss myself. But Blizzard players are loyal to games. So, like, a game don't need to be fucking good to bring in sales, all it needs to do is have the name Diablo on it, have the name World of Warcraft on it, and it will sell. Yeah. But it does help that it has been doing good. People are enjoying it, although recently there's been some hate. Yeah. A week ago there was like reviews were going the other side. Yeah. But, numbers don't lie. So it's really how many people be playing in, like, I don't know, 6 months. Yeah. Those are the, but that doesn't affect sales, right? Well, it does, but like we're talking beginning sales. So, it's not like this will go away. It's over 666, Panda. Yeah, a lot more than 4 to 5. Yeah. Which makes sense. It's not the cheapest game. But keep in mind, they don't show true numbers either. They haven't in years. Yeah, that kind of stopped when WoW started doing bad. They used to show the numbers all the time. But D4 is doing good, so they could be the true numbers. They will show it if shit's going well. So, yeah.
And keep them light, keep them casual as best we can.
Yep, and obviously we still have the hardcore race going on. We actually posted an update on social media yesterday about how many people are up there.
Still like
700. As of yesterday, still like 700 slots for people to make it on the statue.
We're actually digging the hole for the statue on campus. So they're pouring the cement thing to the statue can go on top of. So So like,
It's always giving spoilers.
what? That we're putting the statue on campus? How's that a spoiler?
It's just like it's blocked off. No one can like see it. Even internal people can't see it. You know.
I'm just saying it's kind of cool. I've never had that.
Right now, you're gonna have people trying to like get in there and see the statue and take pictures. Yeah. Way to go, Rod.
Game where your name, like as the development team is walking to lunch, they can see your name on the statue. I think it's kind of cool, and that reminds us of our community and our fans out there who are playing the game, and and people are like, oh my god, first time. Like I get the first thing, but we made it 1,000 for a reason. We wanted people to be able to enjoy the story and play the game at their pace, and we wanted to get through, our first 10 days plus early access, so that people didn't feel. Because we knew, as our production director often says, it's going to be a little rock and roll, and we knew for hardcore, bold people who decided to do hardcore like on our first day, because definitely a little rock and roll. But we wanted people to have that opportunity. So there's still 700 spots available. So if you haven't rolled a hardcore yet, you can, today could be the day, or I'm sure we still have lots of time to get there. So. And maybe we'll do something around BlizzCon and the statue. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? The other thing that I did want
I think that's a good point, that if you are on the statue and you go to the next BlizzCon that has been confirmed, so it is happening this year, you'd see your name, right? I think that's the cool part. I totally would have done hardcore first, but I like just getting through everything smoothly the first time, rather than die, restart, die, restart. Like yeah. I don't know if there'd be that many, but pretty much everyone had to restart at some point. Yeah. Plus, I like getting to know where the random shit that can kill you is.
Our next developer update live stream, we'll be talking about that date soon, but we are planning for that to be in early July. We'll be going over Season 1 details then.
Ooh, Season 1 details.
Ooh, I just want to know what it is in unison with you, that's all.
I know. Ooh. So the zombie thing, we're going to explain the zombie thing?
Yeah, we're going to talk about zombies. Yeah. It's a really cool season.
It is. It is not. If you didn't watch the previous stream,
right? I was gonna say, like, the zombie thing, and I can sense he's talking about the inside joke thing, but the zombie thing, you guys always watch the stream, so you probably know about the zombie thing, but since I watch everything they do. But it was an inside joke, and it was before the launch, because this is actually the first stream they've done since the game launched. And before the launch, they had like a little inside joke that, because they were covering Season 1, like they were showing a picture of how the season would look, but they didn't want to spoil Season 1, so they had it all covered. And the inside joke was that it was going to be a zombie season. Yeah. I think that, obviously it wouldn't, because why would they joke if it was, why would they even put that into people's thoughts? But I think down the road there will be. I just don't think that it'll be the Season 1 theme, But wouldn't that be hilarious if it was like, yeah, inside joke, and then Season 1 shows up as fucking zombie season? I think they make it for October's, right? Whichever season falls into the October month, zombie season. Although this season would make sense as a zombie season, because the new Walking Dead started up today. Yeah. But, I still think October would probably be a better time for it.
This is a joke from the previous stream.
Right.
It is not zombies.
It is not zombies. Zombies was our illustrated example of what the season could be, but is not. So do not-
It'll lower, Panda. Yeah,
But
that
so
always
stay tuned for
happens
that.
at
And
hype.
Of course, you know,
hype
we'll have
launches.
these Campfire chats.
Yeah.
There's still lots of updates that are coming here really soon.
Yay,
Yay,
Tiffany!
Tiffany!
Rolling, just keep rolling.
And we'll have of course all those patch notes and details up on the site once those are available. As you guys heard, a lot of these changes are going to be coming before season 1. So we'll make sure to keep you guys informed. Make sure to follow us on social.
Well, it's still launch week. We're not even done with drops, right? Like, well, it's not launch week, but like 3% since last week. Like, people aren't even done leveling yet, you know? Yeah, it's not going to go down for a bit, but it's always like that. That's not even like WoW's numbers were way like, you know, Lich King had what was Lich King again? 10 million players or something like that. Pretty sure it's 10 mil. So yeah, it'll go down. Just it'll take a bit because it takes a while to hit 100. And we gotta see what seasons look like too, right? Not to spin a negative on it, but I'm spinning a realist on it. I've seen this happen with every WoW expansion, previous Diablo games, you know, other Blizzard games and other non-Blizzard shit, and things are just always at the highest during a release. Yeah, it'll take a solid couple of months before you see a difference. Or a noticeable difference. Like technically hype will be from their launch day to the end of season 1. And then the real test is who goes into season 2. Yeah.
Diablo on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, etc.
Just smash that subscribe button for you,
Smash that
Adam.
subscribe button, guys. Like and subscribe.
You know, every fucking YouTuber does that. Like, is something wrong with me that I never say that to you guys? I know we're currently on Twitch, but you guys know these all end up on YouTube, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you guys know that. But I have never once said that. I have never asked anyone to hit the subscribe button. I don't promote the members only stuff. You gotta just find out that it's there. So if you got eyes, you know. If you don't got eyes, you don't know. You know, like I do not do any of that shit. I want to say I probably should at least advertise the members only thing, you know, because, you know, YouTubers gotta make money, right? Like, I might be making more money if I actually, you know, told you to do things, but I just don't. I've never liked that strat. Yeah, but everyone does it. Everyone. Plus they'll have their own, should have good legs, people trying new classes and builds. Yeah. There's a lot of hours of content in D4 for sure. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. Recorded in an outro, so you only have to say it once. Nope. The reason I say no is because a while back, before, well, actually, I did it a bit with the member only, but I used to have a Patreon, and then there was, I did an outro where I would, you know, shout out the, you know, the people that go the extra mile, you know, and I did it with the members only stuff too, and I don't want to sound bad, but I don't want to hear myself doing that all the time, you know? And I don't want you to hear the repetitiveness of that. I don't want to sound like a fucking robot in every fucking video. So I wipe that shit out fast. Yeah, so no. I'm not going to record it as an outro. And yeah, I don't even run the names anymore. Like I used to kind of have it as like, you know, when a film ends and the names run. Yeah, I found that to be fucking, I don't know if cringe is the word, but like I didn't like it after a while. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know, so I took that out. Yeah, so the thanks that you get from me is when I say thanks right now. Yeah. You know, when you sub and I say thanks on a stream. Yeah. And you know, the members only has like there is like a specific chat for them, and I do a monthly video where I kind of thank them for, you know, being a member of the channel there. But yeah, I know a lot of YouTubers do it, and I did roll the names for a while, but I just, you know, I guess I don't want this to sound bad, but why do I gotta thank you in every single fucking video? like, is that what it takes for you to watch the video? Because no, I'm not gonna thank you in every fucking video. That's why I dropped it. I was like, this is bullshit. What's going on here, you know? But for those that are subs of the Twitch and members of the YouTube, you know, you guys already know that I'm thankful for your support. Yeah, I thank you every time you renew it. And then, you know, like I said, the YouTube members get a video, so yeah. But yeah, it's YouTube's weird because you have to do that. Like, there's a reason people do that, you know. It's because I don't mean any disrespect when I say this, but one thing I have learned as a YouTuber is that people are blind, you know. Like they just don't see stuff. I see it a lot with my cooking channel. I'll put up a video and then someone will be like, "Oh, what are the ingredients?" And it's like, dipshit. Did you watch the video? Because the ingredients were listed in the video, and then if you go into the description, the ingredients are listed there. Like, how many places you need me to put the fucking ingredients before you know the fucking ingredients? Like, do I have to say shit twice to get it through your skull? Like, yeah, I just, you know, yeah. I'm just saying, sometimes I gotta wonder about people, you know? So, yeah. Anyway, that rant went out of control. But yeah. I do have my outro that I do use, though, is a non-spoken, like the word subscribe is there, you know, I do that. And then I do try to show off a couple of videos, but I don't always remember to put them in. But there's a little bit, you know, like I do, I got the word subscribe on screen. But one thing I've just noticed is that you gotta tell them, you can't like just have words on the screen. Yeah.
Subscribe. But yeah, thank you guys again, and we'll see you on the next stream.
Bye. Bye, Diablo guys and girl. Well, that one wasn't too bad. I'd like to see them do more of those. Yeah. Yeah, it was a little like, there was definitely some sidetracking, but I don't mind sidetracking, you know, as like, if I didn't enjoy watching them, then yeah, okay, I would care. Like if I was only watching for, D4 news, which I guess we are, but but I do like the girl was new. I'd never seen her before, but the other three I do like their personalities and shit like that. So I do think it helps that they've got like a good group of people doing these dev streams, and they're technically not considering this a dev stream because I don't know, it's they said exactly what they say in normal dev streams. Like it's just called something else. It's called Campfire Chat, but like still a dev stream in my eyes.